Welcome back to another episode of N-Word News. Did James Charles really say the N-word? Well, according to Joven on Twitter, he actually did say the N-word. On his Twitter, he posted a screenshot of an Instagram DM seemingly from James Charles saying the N-word straight to him. This tweet gained enough traction to where it actually got an official response from James Charles, to which he says, "This is absolutely not funny. Delete this immediately or my lawyer will be in contact." Then, of course, after James Charles replies, this tweet starts to circulate even more. Keemstar tweets it out by saying, "Yikes," to which Adam22 responds by saying, "Laughing out loud, I knew that response was on the way as soon as I saw the original tweet." Memology101 tweets out, "James Charles deleted the following tweet after getting owned. A sad story in 3 tweets. James Charles thinks he can sue someone for a tweet. He got the account of the other person suspended, by the way." Which did happen, but Joven quickly got unsuspended because it's a bit ridiculous to just suspend someone over a forged Instagram DM. And before anyone asks, this is 100% forged. It's very easy to fake DMs on Instagram. Most people know this, so the fact that James Charles just responded in such a radical way is kind of funny, in my opinion. Black Wolf Company responds to this saying, "James Charles doesn't want to be cancelled." Nathrotix says, "Hey James Charles, why did you threaten legal action on this man's meme only to later delete the threat?" And then he also shows an old tweet from James Charles, which is pretty questionable. Then memes his response by saying, "James, this is absolutely not funny. Please delete this or my lawyer will be in contact." So for the whole day, this whole debacle blew up to the point where Joven actually started trending on Twitter. So the next day, James Charles addresses all of this by saying, "It's scary to me that there are actual people on Twitter who crave attention so badly that they make fake screenshots to try and ruin others' careers and lives. It's not funny." Someone then said, "Sue and collect some taco money," to which James also responded to that by saying, "I don't want to give him the thrill of even taking him to court. Twitter is already helping me handle it." Someone else responds to James by saying, "James, literally take a joke." To which he responds, "Getting messages, death threats, and emails questioning one's character over a fake screenshot is not a joke." Someone responded to his original tweet saying, "It's not really funny, only getting about 160 likes. And then someone else responded saying, "It's hilarious, getting almost 6 times the likes." So you can kind of tell what people's general opinion on this are. So of course people take this opportunity to meme him up a bit more. Just Jargon says, "It's scary that some people don't know what jokes are and are willing to threaten legal action against the people who make them. Now that's not funny." Black Wolf Company says, "You made it more of an issue, you little princess. You reacted to bait, you took an L. Stop playing the victim because you played yourself." I also decided to respond to this by saying, "It's scary to me that there are actual people in the social media industry who fall for attention bait and then get mad when the person they gave attention to benefits from their stupidity. It's not funny." Optimus then replies to me by saying, "Josh, this is absolutely not funny. Delete this or my lawyer will be in contact." Then I follow up my last tweet by saying, "Someone made a fake screenshot of me saying N-word. I'm trembling. This is scary. My life is flashing before my eyes." Now, what's interesting to me about all of this is not the controversy itself, but it's who it happened to and how that reaction has benefited him so heavily. So for those of you who don't know, Joven is an upcoming social media influencer who makes a living off begging for donations. If you look up his name on Google, there's a bunch of articles that show up talking about how he does constant live streams, constant updates of his life on both Twitter and Instagram, and uses his constant interaction with his fan base to get donations through PayPal, Patreon, Vimeo, etc. So having James Charles respond to his tweet in this way is actually the best thing that could have happened to him, and he's been reaping the rewards pretty well. He gained about 50k new followers on Twitter and used this opportunity to launch his new merch line, which ended up giving him about $78k in sales. That is... I gotta forge people saying the N-word more often because that's a lot of money. But as a viewer, the best part about all of this has to be Joven's reactions on Twitter. They have been absolutely hilarious. So join me as we take a deep dive into his Twitter and look at some of the tweets he's been making over the past few days. And trust me, there's a lot. I sifted through hundreds of tweets to get to the ones we are gonna read now. So starting off here, you can already kind of get a feel for how Joven acts on Twitter. He responds to his original tweet by saying, "Why do you enjoy black gay men of color wokeness being called Nick Gurr?" Clearly showing that he is indeed a troll, which makes it even more funny how James ended up responding. He continues to egg James on by replying to his lawyer threatening tweet by saying, "Why did you call me an N-word, James? This is absolutely not funny. Delete this immediately or my lawyer will be in contact. Now can all you makeup majors stop explaining the law to me, lol. I really hate when white women threaten to sue me. Like, it legit makes me mad, cause I know they can't read."
We hate James Charles. He's disgusting, worm breath, says nigger on Xbox Live, has no friends, narcissist control freak, and nobody in LA even likes him. So, I'm not pressed about that. What else? He's racist, so is Shane Dawson, so is Emma Chamberlain, hates Latinas. Oh, they hate Latino people. We don't stand them. I don't have anything to say besides, like, literally, James Charles, you cannot sue for an edited screenshot. I love making YouTubers squirm. It's my favorite thing. Learn to ignore me because we're not even in the same arena. I'm just throwing bombs over there, girl. We're not playing the same game.
What did your mom say?
We're not playing the same game. I don't like you.
Take
Just
the
ignore
water
me.
gun fight.
After James deleted his reply, Joven tweeted out, "James' lawyer must have told him that he can't sue." And then he follows it up by saying, "Send all the legal funds here," linking his donation links. Holy shit, that is just shameless. And I love it. It's absolutely shameless, and I respect the shit out of it. Imagine thinking you're the hottest shit on the planet for selling shitty makeup to 14-year-olds and getting virtually demolished by a 25-year-old digital beggar with alcoholism every 6 months. Ooh. If James ended up reading that one, that's gotta sting. Holy shit. Thank you, James Charles. I was gonna wait a week to drop merch, you dumbass ostrich. Do you know how many sales I made tonight, bitch? I finna buy a plane. I am not the right race or sexuality to properly pronounce that sentence, but I guess you'll just have to live with that subpar pronunciation. Y'all really let a gay person with bipolar disorder become the biggest weapon against a white loser on YouTube. Right here we had someone who replied to James with Joven's Venmo, and she got blocked. You must be so triggered to just block people off that one message. We have a funny prediction tweet that Joven retweeted that says, "Joven Hill's popularity will skyrocket because of an argument with a famous celebrity. You can hate on me all you want. I manipulate white people better than anyone. James, take me to court. My aunt said we can even do a countersuit if you want." Joven replies to the tweet where James Charles said Twitter's gonna handle it, kind of mocking him, saying, "Here I am." He never got suspended. Poor James. Someone asked Joven why he isn't blocked by James already, and he replies, "So we can't play victim. Not on his cracker watch." In the middle of all this, Joven of course promotes his Patreon, because why wouldn't he? Then someone replies with, "Promoting merch after igniting beef. I don't know a better man." But then Joven corrects him by saying, "Igniting beef to promote merch." Now that is the ultimate marketing tactic. Y'all can't gaslight the ultimate gaslighter. Let me lose his account. Watch how fast I post every YouTuber in the 20-mile radius saying the N-word in a fat-ass compilation. Y'all better move on. Dude, the fact that he is this unfiltered on Twitter and just goes off saying anything, not worrying about suspension at all, is honestly admirable in a way. Okay, I'm not saying you're all idiots, but you're far from legal experts, and no offense, I'ma make it simple. Do you think Stan Twitter would exist if you could get sued for making up shit about celebrities online? Please, I'm begging you to think. I'm pleading. And Joven retweets a fake tweet made by James Charles that says, "Count your fucking days." Imagine if he actually said that. That is an aggressive use of the N-word right there. Joven tweets out, "I haven't stopped thinking about this," showing a screenshot of a James Charles fan saying, "This is absolutely not funny. Delete this immediately or my lawyers will be in contact." To which someone replies, "You literally follow James and have his catchphrase in your bio. What the fuck are you doing?" To which she replies, "I like Joven better," converting the James Charles fans. That's exactly what he wants to see and what I love to see when I get in arguments with bigger creators. Popcrave, which I think is a news outlet for social media, never really heard of them, but they say, James Charles set the record straight after a fabricated screenshot of the YouTube star sending the N-word over Instagram DM goes viral. And then Joven responds with all of his donation links. Holy shit, the shamelessness, and it actually ended up getting more likes than the original tweet. Twitter emailing me directly to delete tweets. I guess someone in support is enjoying the show. Selling my James Charles palette for your merch. And then sends an image of her defacing a James Charles palette that actually has a signature from him. That's amazing. That's dedication. James not blocking me is so funny. Like, why not? Why not, sister? Sometimes I don't realize how exhausting social media is until I'm tired, and I ain't done shit but tweet. Now imagine actually having to go through your tweets, organize them, filter them out, and then do voiceover. Please appreciate me. I am a living meme. I cannot be destroyed, only deleted. Wait, someone hire me to ghost tweet at James Charles. Imagine Joven being your Twitter guy. That would be a double-edged sword to say the least. I should send him merch. I can't believe he said he'd sue me, like I don't know every black lawyer in America. Someone sends Joven a long message to which he replies, I didn't read this, I made 55k in a day. Then this is when some of the drunk tweets start flowing in. James Charles said N-word. Fuck white people, you fucking lames. I'm here forever, bitch. James called me an N-word. James called me an N-word. James called me an N-word. Jesus, this is getting out of hand. Even Keemstar agrees. James Charles is a racist. Shane Dawson is a racist. Emma Chamberlain is a racist. You defend them, you a racist. Unfollowing YouTubers on Instagram before exposing makes... Okay. I think I've read enough tweets from Joven.
This is absolutely not a video I ever thought in a million years that I would be making.
So James Charles' good friend and long-term supporter Taddy just uploaded a 43-minute video exposing James Charles, aptly titled Bye Sister, which as of recording this has resulted in over 3 million subs lost within the span of 5 days, the most sub loss we've ever seen on YouTube. Holy shit, James Charles must have done some insane shit to warrant this end. To a lot of people, it is warranted, but honestly, after looking into the situation, I feel like the people who are on the side of Taddy are either seeing this through an extremely biased lens, or are being manipulated by Taddy's video due to some evidence that she decided to not present in the video that would have weakened her case against James Charles. So the 2 points that are brought up against James Charles in this video that are causing him to lose subscribers are him trying to have sex with straight guys.
Oh my god, you tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay yet again, and somehow you're the victim. You know, it's really disgusting to manipulate someone's sexuality, especially when they are still, emerging into adulthood and don't quite have everything figured out.
And Tati feeling betrayed after James Charles promoted her competitor.
I also want to give a quick shout out to Sugar Bear Hair. I met their team weekend 1 at Coachella, and they really helped me and my friends out with sister security because it was crazy. You guys probably already know about their iconic hair vitamins.
While she did a bunch of business stuff to help James Charles essentially be at the place he is today, without Tati, he probably wouldn't be as successful money and social media wise as he is currently.
I had a lot of influence at the time. My channel was much bigger. Come on my channel, do my makeup. We started talking pre-CoverGirl, so we're talking before everything exploded. My husband would spend hours on the phone looking over contracts, getting him in a better position. So we helped him get into Style Hall back when basically no one wanted to work with him because of his Ebola scandal, and everyone was really afraid that he was very toxic. But once again, we had his back. They got a boutique management around him. They finally taught him how to monetize his videos. He was making $90 a video, and because of me and my husband, he was making $2,500 immediately from a switch being flipped because his former management did not go in and do that for him.
So based off these two situations, he's really trying to push the idea that James Charles really just doesn't give a shit about people because he forces straight guys to try and have sex with him and doesn't respect the help Tati gave him because he promoted her competitor, and those two things combined show that James Charles is just not a good person and doesn't really care about people. But I feel like that's blatantly untrue, because as soon as James Charles found out that Tati was upset about him promoting his competitor, he issued this apology. I want to publicly apologize to my close friend Tati. She's been like a mother to me since my first days in this industry and has given me more love, support, resources, and advice than I could ever ask for. This weekend I did an Instagram story for sleep vitamins I've been taking, because the brand helped me with security when the crowd around me at Coachella became unsafe. I did not accept any money for the post. As most of you know, Tati has a vitamin brand which I take on a daily basis, but in the moment I did not think about the competition, which was a major oversight. I've supported Tati both online and off like she's done for me, and I am devastated that I hurt someone that I truly love and have endless respect for. Tati dismisses his apology by saying that the only reason he made it was to do damage control because he was in contact with other drama channels.
I knew that I needed to talk to James, and I was planning on hopping in my car and, sitting down with him, but I changed my mind very, very quickly when I found out that he had been giving his side to drama channels. He had been in contact with plenty of them. I immediately knew that this was all about damage control and had little to do with his care for me, because I just don't think that he does.
But then we also have this drama channel reaching out to James Charles to comment on the situation, and he says he would rather resolve it privately rather than publicly with Tati. So unless James only declined this drama channel in particular, Tati's hunch about James contacting drama channels to try and do damage control is pretty much incorrect, and this is something she could have looked up because this video from Spill the Tea is over 2 weeks old at this point. So if the promotion was a genuine mistake and oversight by James Charles, what else do you really expect him to do? He made a public apology after she made a public call out, and then decided to solve everything privately once Tati was ready to approach him. I don't really see what else James could have done in this scenario, besides not make the mistake of promoting her competitor in the first place. And considering all the reactions and responses James has given to Tati ever since this sponsor drama began, this idea of betrayal is really far-fetched to me. He seems like super sympathetic and sad that he accidentally did this to Tati, and nothing he's done since that sponsorship indicates to me that he is trying to backstab Tati in any way. If anything, it indicates the opposite because of how heartfelt and considerate his responses were.
When I confronted him on it, he cried, he apologized. Right after that sponsored post went up to have a text like, "Hey mom, love you, I'm stressed. Just so you know, XYZ, I just did this post, but it's no big."
He messaged you after doing it, informing you that he did it, saying that it wasn't a big deal. Maybe he actually thought it wasn't a big deal. I mean, if he did know this was a big deal and was trying to sneak it behind your back, why would he mention it to you in the first place? Wouldn't he hope that you just didn't notice and then take the money and run? In the video, you keep bringing up, oh, he knew this would be devastating to me prior to him making the deal. Maybe this was intentional, but all of his responses indicate to me that this was a legitimate mistake. The only evidence you have of this being done out of malicious intent is that he contacted drama channels for damage control, but in reality, they contacted him and he refused to give a public statement. And even if he did directly contact them first, as far as I know, nothing came out of that. So, call it a hunch, but I don't really think he was trying to ruin your career, Tati. Plus, Tati even mentioned that she's not really losing much money by James promoting the competitor over her.
I've never bought an ad. I don't do that, A, because I don't want to. My product is good enough on its own, and we're selling like hotcakes. Like, I don't need to at this point.
And based off James's responses, it's obviously not betrayal unless you really want to fit a square peg into a round hole. And then she says most of this isn't over the vitamins and the competition, but she's mentioned it for majority of the video. She brings it up multiple times throughout the video, keep reiterating and reiterating and reiterating that one main point of betrayal.
He could have come face to face and chatted with me because he knew that this would hurt me. To not even get a phone call, to not even get a text a few days prior, but right after that sponsored post went up to have a text like, "Hey mom, love you, I'm stressed. Just so you know, XYZ, I just did this post, but it's no big." James Charles never even apologized to my James. If this was just about Halo, then, Like, you know that this is our business. Apologize to him too, but that's not what this is about. That I would be crazy to think that I had an exclusive with him when it came to my vitamins. And for someone that I helped when no one would, the Sugar Bear hair thing, that was a blatant lie. Like, come on. You were with me. You know what I went through to bring everything to life, the risk involved in going into a category that no one wants to get into because it's so hard and challenging. And it's not a palette. It's not something that people buy multiples of. People are not going to buy a hair vitamin from over here and one from over here because that would be too much for your system to handle. So when you pair up with my #1 competitor, it's embarrassing to me. Is it going to crush my business? No. But it's embarrassing, and you know that because of things I've had to deal with in the past. Because the reason that James always said that he couldn't promote Halo on his channel and really do like, heavy endorsement was because he has a teenage audience and it would just be inappropriate. Oh, come on, a 10-second ad, it means nothing. If it meant nothing, they would have just said, have the security and safety, don't worry about us. But no, there was a negotiation and I do this and you do that because there's value there. I'm not good with that. Like, you threw me under the bus. You knew how much it would hurt. I told you, like I texted you, hey, I'll give you a sponsorship if you want one. Like, don't do this, it will hurt me. And you kept it up for 24 hours. Of course I didn't want to call you back.
It was repeated so many goddamn times to drive it into the audience's head, and it was done at multiple points throughout the video instead of all in one venting chunk. This is a video that is being put on a 6 million at the time sub channel, who is known for having good production, who lives in LA, who clearly knows about business, clearly knows about lighting, cameras, editing, etc. You can see by the multiple cuts in this video that there is editing in it. It's not like this was just a quick sit down, record, turn off, upload. And she's probably reviewed this video at least a couple times before uploading it. Why else would you leave so much repetition in that video if not to drive home the point that James Charles is a bad guy? If it's just about vindicating yourself like you say in that video, just say it once. I just have a sneaking suspicion that this video was specifically made to smear James's name in order for him to lose a bunch of subs, her to gain a bunch of subs, and her to more importantly gain a bunch of sales on her Halo Beauty vitamin pills. Because not only does she bring up the betrayal of the pill ad so many times, but she also full-blown goes into advertisement mode for her product halfway through the video.
I really believe that as we evolve, whether it's cosmetics, technology, nutraceuticals, everybody's always going to try and improve what once was. So for me with Halo, what I am really trying to do is improve something that already existed, yes. I wanted to dial in a formula that would work. I've never sent out PR. I've never bought an ad. I don't do that, A, because I don't want to. My product is good enough on its own and we're selling like hotcakes. Like, I don't need to at this point. As we grow, maybe I will, but that's not where my spend is. Like, I'm not gonna put $100,000 into an Instagram post for someone to jam a pill in their mouth and smile that probably isn't taking it. I'd rather put that $100,000 into research and creating a really dope product that people really love, and that's why they come back for more. So that's my standard when it comes to building my business and my brand, and that's my thought process when I'm creating products. I want them to work. I don't want to trick you guys.
And as she's talking about this, a little card pops up in the corner for you to go to halobeauty.com and buy some yourself. That's oddly convenient, isn't it? Now, at the end of the day, I honestly hope Taddy's video is 100% true and I'm 100% wrong in this video, because honestly, if I'm right about Taddy's true intentions for making this video, then Taddy's video is the biggest emotional manipulation of an audience that I've ever fucking seen on YouTube.
And I always like to tell people, pain is pain, and yeah, at some point you have to feel it, express it, release it, and then set it down and move ahead, because life will never stop being painful no matter where in the world you are, no matter what your circumstances. You are always going to experience heartbreak, and that's part of being human. I'm crushed because this person was family to me. This person is someone that I absolutely loved, cared for, and would have spent all the time in the world protecting. I wrapped as much love as I could around this kid, more from like a parental stance than like a best friend stance. Oh, this is just like really hard to do. Oh my God. Okay. I absolutely loved James Charles. My husband loved James Charles.
If it is creating content that we are all emulating right now, James Charles, you are changing everything. I love you so much.
I was, from the pit of my guts, so proud. So proud. I have so much empathy for people, and I really want to see people grow and step into themselves. And I'm more the person to ask, like, well, what made you feel that you needed to do XYZ? Like, what happened to you? Or like, why do you feel like you need to do that? I'm not perfect, but I have a desire to do better all of the time. And I have a desire to grow and step into myself more and more and more. And this life means so much to me. And I know that it's not just this. And so I've always had a really forgiving heart. It's just all feeling like really intense, and like I wish you guys could like be inside of my head and understand like really, truly like what YouTube means to me and why I need this, like why I need me and you, and why I need to do things the way that I do. I have forced myself to go with my intuition and to like really, really try to do the right thing and to be a good person. And I know I'm a role model, and that matters to me, and that has gravity to me, and I like that. And I want to make a difference. And let me also share that when I do reach the level of success that I hope to with Halo, I'm going to make a lot of positive changes. I have huge plans for what I want to do to give back.
Listening through that video, there's so many times where she interjects with these heart-jerking, motherly type moments with James Charles and how she feels so betrayed, and then on top of that even interjects like general motivational statements to try and invoke certain emotions into her audience. And honestly, this could just be coincidental based off how she actually feels, but based on how much she talks about it and how much she randomly interjects it throughout the video, I really feel like it's more deliberate than coincidental, especially considering how aware she is of business. She's aware that making this video is a business move. Social media and all this public shit is business, which leads me to believe that this video is also about improving her business, since the main grievance she has in this video is very business related. I mean, she even talked about how she wanted to improve her business in the video itself. As she said,
Oh my God. Time and place.
But I hope to God I'm wrong, because if any emotional thing she said in this video is disingenuous in any way, that is just so bad. That amount of emotional manipulation into the audience is honestly fucking disgusting to me. But before I get too ahead of myself on this, of course I have to mention the second most important part of this video, which is Tati explaining how James Charles pressures straight men into being gay. So I'm pretty sure there's multiple cases of James Charles trying to go after straight guys, and he's been very open about it on Twitter. That is just kind of his kink or whatever. But here I'm just going to specifically focus on the incident that Tati mentions.
The last phone conversation that James Charles and I had, he said some things telling me about a situation that happened in Seattle at my birthday, and it literally made me want to vomit. Oh my God, you tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay yet again, and somehow you're the victim. You know, it's really disgusting to manipulate someone's sexuality, especially when they are still, emerging into adulthood and don't quite have everything figured out. You are using your fame, your power, your money to play with people's emotions. You're threatening to ruin them. You're threatening to embarrass them. And you're doing that to have them behave sexually in your favor, even if they're straight. And you know what? That's not okay. That behavior is not okay. Whether you're a woman, a man, gay, straight, bi, whatever sexual orientation you are, that is your personal call, and it is not someone else's to take. It's not someone else's to play with. It's not someone else's to mess with. And how dare you laugh about it and make meme after meme and retweet and this and that and I love straight boys, and make it a joke. Because this behavior is not normal, it's not okay. Cracking someone's sexuality is not an escape room. This is shit that will follow them for the rest of their lives. And you need someone to tell you to stop it. And that's exactly what I did in your kitchen.
So in this video, she mentions a waiter at a restaurant that she went to for her birthday. She then said James Charles tricked this waiter into having sex with him or sexual relations.
You tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay, manipulate someone's sexuality, have them behave sexually in your favor, even if they're straight.
Or that's at least what I think she's saying. Her wording is kind of vague, and I think I know why it's vague, because the waiter actually came out with his own video explaining what exactly happened, and it's a lot less extreme than Tati implies.
And he kept asking the waiter if I was single, and they thought I was very attractive. Or he especially thought that I was very attractive, and he wanted to get my phone number and all that. But the waitstaff at my restaurant didn't let that happen. He left and it kind of just went untalked about. The next day, my sister convinced me to direct message James Charles, and I did. We can throw the screenshot up here somewhere in post. I said, LOL, it's Sam the busser from John Howie. John Howie's the restaurant that we worked at. He replied with OMFG, and then I replied with LMAO. Then he asked me how I was, and then you can kind of read here, like, sorry about last night, you're very attractive. And then I responded with, it's all good, very flattering actually. And he said, love that. Did not know you were 19, oh my god, I am too. We proceeded to talk for a while. It was his last night in Seattle. He actually invited me out to his hotel. At that time, I was bi-curious. I had never done anything with a guy before, and I was curious. We say hi. It's all fine. We ended up watching a movie, and after that movie, he asked to kiss me. And I was very nervous, because I had never done anything with a guy, and I was bi-curious, so I said yes. We ended up making out for around an hour, and if I'm being honest, he's the worst kisser I've ever kissed. Way too much tongue. Yeah, but besides that, throughout the following weeks, we kept in contact. And my birthday was coming up on the 22nd, and he wanted to fly me out to LA. And that kind of freaked me out because at that point I was pretty sure I was straight. So I told him in a long text message that I am straight, and that if he were to fly me out, I wouldn't think it was right if I wasn't attracted to him. But if he still wanted to fly me out as friends, I gave that as an option to him. So he declined my offer and canceled the flight, and that's when he got really sad and emotional. He took to social media, and his response to me was that he didn't think that I was straight. He told me, you're not straight. Like, I'll throw up the DM conversation right now.
So James Charles wasn't able to interact with the waiter at all until after the fact. The waiter personally reached out to James himself, accepted his invitation to a hotel, knowing it was for intimate reasons, and willingly made out with James Charles for an hour. Then he leaves, and a couple days later, James Charles messages him on his birthday to invite him down to LA, and then he says he's straight. Only then he mentions to James Charles he's straight. He kept saying he was bi-curious to James that entire time, and then all of a sudden, I'm straight. Which is a fine decision to make, but the time he revealed this information to James is really important to the story, because that means the entire time James was in physical range of this guy told James he was bi-curious. He did not tell James he was 100% straight until they were far away in different states, and it was messaged over Instagram. And then the problematic messages come up where James Charles tries to say, oh no, you're gay, everybody has a little bit of gay inside them and all that shit. Which, in this scenario in particular, I think is less of James Charles being a predator and more of just him being in denial after he was led on by this guy. I mean, this guy never definitively said he's gay or he wanted to be with James Charles. He did lead James Charles on for multiple days. If you look at when these messages were sent versus when Tati's birthday was, there was like a 10-day gap. He couldn't have told James Charles that he was straight in between that time at all. I guess he was still figuring it out. I guess neither of them are really at fault. But that's my point. I don't really think James Charles is a predator based off of this particular instance. So for Tati to outright say that without the proper information is really short-sighted on her part. It really just seems like she heard gossip from some of her colleagues in the beauty community about what actually happened, which was a kind of hyperbolic version of reality. And then she took it to use it in her video. I don't know, if she really cared about James Charles, I feel like she would have contacted him and tried to sort this out without making it public. Like, James Charles definitely did some inappropriate things, right? Him saying sexual stuff at Tati's birthday dinner with her extended family around, not okay. James Charles' ego and attitude and the way he acts in general, probably not okay. Him not taking Tati's business into account when promoting those vitamins, probably not okay. But these are all things that don't need to be aired out publicly. And when you're dealing with businesses and social media followings this big, saying something publicly versus privately makes a world of difference. It's literally career damaging versus not career damaging. And Tati decided to willingly tarnish James Charles' career just in order to try and protect her own, which I feel really wasn't necessary based off the stuff she explained in this video. I also find it really ironic that she criticizes James Charles for wanting to do a drama beauty documentary. Meanwhile, she's doing this shit to James Charles. It's just like, holy shit, the hypocrisy is insane there.
So he was popping off online about exposing the beauty community and doing a docu-series, and I was like, no. So after hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of talk, he arrived at the decision to not do it. I was like, it's gonna be like the downfall of your career. Don't do it. Like, don't expose the community because you're part of the community. Like, do you think you're better than everyone? Because you're not.
Now, in conclusion, does Tati's video have aspects of truth? 100%. Everything that James Charles did was correct in that video. I just think the intentions she's implying are completely incorrect. Because think about it, why the fuck would James Charles intentionally ruin her brand? He doesn't really get anything out of it. If Tati's this generous mother figure, I'm sure she would offer James just as much, if not more money to promote her product rather than him promoting another product. Especially since she's so torn up about James not promoting it in the first place. Why would James promote her competitor other than the reason he already stated? James has absolutely nothing to gain from screwing over Tati. I think James never wanted to promote vitamins or pills of any kind on his channels at all, but he did in that one instance because he was in a tough scenario with security. Is that a far-fetched theory? I don't really know. Maybe he should have promoted Halo. I mean, at this point, everybody in James's audience knows about Halo Beauty, so he might as well have done it, if I'm gonna be honest. Now, I'm not here to excuse and deny all of James's actions. A lot of these claims probably have merit, and James Charles, let's be honest, you can tell that he's egotistical and immature, but to be fair, he is a 19-year-old millionaire social media superstar. I feel like you gotta cut him some slack, especially if you're his self-proclaimed internet mother. I feel that having vitamins break the camel's back on this seems really petty, and then the fact that you so heavily promote it in that video that you know will get a lot of views and have a hunch that it would get a lot of good publicity knowing the reputation of James Charles in general. This really does seem like a business move to help promote your pills. Not gonna lie. And when I look at this situation, all I see is a bunch of 30-year-olds scolding and publicly humiliating a 19-year-old for making mistakes typical of a 19-year-old. This needed to be addressed, but it didn't need to be addressed publicly, and I have no idea why it was made public, other than to just smear James's name for profit. And it's working. You're gaining millions of subs, James is losing millions of subs, you're gaining profit, James is losing profit. Making a manipulative video like this, whether it was intentionally manipulative or not, was the perfect business move for your channel and your situation, because when you're in control of presenting a story against someone you want to defame, you have the power to take truths and manipulate people's motives behind that truth to make them look bad, as well as ignore info that would vindicate that assumption of their motive. It makes for a very convincing video, but we'll see how this plays out. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments to this situation as a whole, especially those of you who are more invested in the beauty community. I'm just kind of jumping into it with this scenario. Pretty new to this, so would love to hear your feedback.
Like, the DMs that I'm getting and the things that I'm hearing are so gross. You tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay.
At that time, I was bi-curious.
Manipulate someone's sexuality.
The next day, my sister convinced me to direct message James Charles, and I did.
Have them behave sexually in your favor, even if they're straight.
And after that movie, he asked to kiss me. I said yes, and we ended up making out for around an hour.
I wanted...
So Tati Westbrook falsely accused James Charles of being a sexual predator. Since then, James Charles has lost over 3 million subscribers and all positive reputation he had in the beauty community, to the point where people in the community are making false and hypocritical accusations against James Charles for seemingly no other reason than to get on the community's good side. She essentially ended his career, or at least damaged it beyond repair. As a self-proclaimed mentor and good friend to James Charles, Tati has been pretty upset by the response overall, so she decided to upload a new video titled Why I Did It, and in this video, she does indeed explain the reasons why she did it, but those reasons are really weak to justify false sexual predator allegations. And honestly, I just think this video is emotional manipulation to the highest degree that I've ever fucking seen on YouTube, but I'm getting way too ahead of myself. First, I've actually got to prove my claims of this video being disingenuous. So let's start off with the actual defenses she gave to making the video.
From multiple conversations of things that I have heard, and from things that have been shared with me from my community, and things that have been happening, like, it's respect, honesty, and behaving in a way that I just do not agree with. Really, really hope that you guys see that this is a cut that is much deeper than vitamins. And I felt defensive because I was hearing people say that there was a story about me and it was just too much all at once, and I did get defensive.
One was because she was feeling defensive, and the other was because she heard gossip in the beauty community. James Charles, in general, isn't the most liked person in the beauty community. He has a bit of an ego, so naturally his fellow peers wouldn't be a big fan of him. If you were really this mother figure to James and cared about him so much, why would you take the gossip of other beauty gurus at face value and use that as motivation to create a video that could damage his career? Now, the second reason makes a bit more sense. She said she was defensive. But you're the adult in the situation. I mean, James is almost an adult, let's be fair, but you said yourself that you're a parental figure to him. So with that in mind, I think it's rather irresponsible to call him out publicly over the vitamin promotion before contacting him privately, then do the exact same thing with your Bye Sister video, and then to be upset when people are going to war for you.
I want to share with you guys that I do really want the hate to stop. I want the picking sides and the abusive memes and the language and all of that. I really hope on both sides it can stop.
Now, in terms of feeling guilty and wanting to help repair James Charles' career, this video is a good step in the right direction, but it feels like a half step. You didn't disavow anything he said in the previous video, you didn't apologize to him, and you still have the previous video up that many people can go see and get the same opinion of James and unsub and witch hunt him. And as a self-proclaimed adult, mature parental figure in this situation, claiming sympathy towards James,
I don't want you guys hating on him. I don't think anyone deserves that.
But not taking full responsibility for the falsehoods being spread around about him is pretty irresponsible and disingenuous. But let's move away from the fact that she betrayed James and let's move into the fact that she betrayed her audience. In both this video and the Bye Sister video, Tati explains the importance of being a role model to her audience, and scolds James for having sexual content on his channel, while also having a fan base of kids and young teenagers.
It's about someone who reaches across all platforms 30 million people that are children, dominantly children.
Now that's a fine opinion to have, but I find it pretty insane that after the predator claims were debunked by the waiter, that you end up retroactively standing by it by keeping your original video up, and then continue to bawl your eyes out throughout the entire 20-minute video, explaining how bad you feel about the situation while reaping all of the rewards that you got from participating in it in the first place.
I'm so grateful for this whole journey.
You say this is about being real, you say this is about genuine connections, and you play the part emotionally, and that's probably what entices a lot of people to believe you, myself included to an extent, because you are so goddamn good at crying. But if your actions are not backing up what you're saying, I don't know whether to believe you or not. And it sucks because if someone's displaying that strong of emotions in a video like that, you want to believe them. And I truly believe that's what she's banking on in this scenario. The way the Bye Sister video was set up, and the way this video set up, preys on the viewer's emotions. And that's why I think the logic of this whole situation has kind of flown over most people's heads, especially since she was very vague about what she was actually talking about in the previous video. She preyed on that lack of knowledge and the emotions and the bad reputation of James Charles in general to concoct this perfect video that would help push sales of Halo Beauty to offset the damage that was done by James's promotion of her competitor, Sugar Bear Hair. And if that's the case, man, if my theory is correct, holy fucking shit. That level of audience abuse goes beyond promoting sleeping pills to kids. It actually just goes beyond that, because you are not only manipulating people's emotions, you are not only screwing over James, but you are also screwing over your own newfound fan base, all for profit.
You don't have my back, at least have your subscribers back, dude. Like, have some loyalty to that fan base who has put all that money into your bank account instead of lying to them.
She's explained multiple times in her previous video that she is a businesswoman. She's been on YouTube for a while. She knows the industry inside and out. Her husband helps with a lot of shit. That's why they were able to get James Charles so many good deals. And to not know how this would affect James Charles and the community perception of him is just a complete oversight that I just don't feel is very realistic, coming from her in particular. I don't think she expected the magnitude of it, but to upload a video like that and not expect James to get any sub loss, it's just mind-blowing to me. So the other day on Twitter, James Charles decided to make an ass of himself by tweeting out stuff like, "My cock is throbbing, laughing my ass off. I like to fuck cats with Shane Dawson," and "Bald twat Keemstar, suck my dick." Now, as you could probably tell by the type of tweets that were being made, James Charles was actually hacked by a group called Chuckling Squad. Luckily, he was able to get the account back, but before he got the account back, Chuckling Squad made a tweet on James Charles' account that said, "Gonna post James nudes from his iCloud when Owen BDK hits 4K followers." Luckily, James Charles got his account back before this account hit 4K followers, so the nudes were never leaked by Chuckling Squad, but they did end up getting leaked by James Charles himself when he tweeted out this: "Hi, got my account back. Just case I ever get hacked again, here's the only nude I've ever taken. Can't threaten me with it now. Get a life." And then he shows himself bare naked, where his dick is luckily facing away from the camera, but you can see his bare ass. Now, obviously, this is censored because YouTube will not allow me to show ass. Anyways, once this ass was posted, there was a wide variety of reactions to it. Starting out with my two YouTube friends, Tipster said, "He's got a nice butt for a dude," and AugieRFC says, "I can't stop looking at it." Willany responds to it by saying, "Damn." Satan responds to the picture by saying, "DMs," to which Ultra responds by saying, "You're cheating on me?" Shaking my fucking head. "I thought Devil Cummies were exclusive," to which Satan responds, "I'm just trying to find someone to play Minecraft with, bro. That's all." Quackity responds by saying, "This Minecraft shader mod is amazing," to which James replies, "Favorite response." Sensitive and Sad asks, "How long did you have to fight with your management team about this?" To which James answers, "Approximately 8 minutes, which, to be fair, I think is a quite quick turnaround time considering how controversial that image ended up being. Because as much support as we've heard regarding this ass picture so far, there were quite a few people who disapproved of it. One of the first people to speak out against this is a user with the @Superstar Pussy, who ends up responding to the image by saying, "You have fans that are children that look up to you. You're sick as fuck." To which James responds, "It's a butt. Get over it." Slut Del Rey says, "Literally no one asked for this." James responds, "Yeah, well, I didn't ask to have my security and privacy threatened either, Slut Del Rey. So this is me taking back ownership of the situation. Move on with your day." She just responds to this by saying, "That sucks." I was hoping for a zinger back, but unfortunately, some people just can't provide. Once Keemstar saw the image, he reposted on his Twitter with the caption, "The ad system on YouTube can kiss my." Memeology responds to this by saying, "No one asked for this," showing a gif of Groot vomiting. He continues his criticism in a response to a Dextero tweet regarding the situation, where he says, "That was not a leak, and that was not a nude. It was an excuse to show his ass to his audience without being labeled a degenerate and a fucking atrocity. Will James Charles face consequences for posting nudes in social media like other YouTubers have faced in the past? Yeah, about that, no." And then he shows an image of James Charles with Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, to kind of prove that James Charles has favoritism when it comes to these social media platforms. Memeology then posted a YouTube comment that said, "Don't think James Charles should have posted his nude, but it's really shown how many homophobes follow this channel." To which Memeology responds, "Apparently now I'm a homophobe for thinking that James Charles posting his ass on social media around his young audience is inappropriate. Wait till all his younger fans see his ass on Twitter." Optimus Prime reacted to all of this by saying, "Apparently James Charles is out here double-cheeked up my timeline. Jesus Christ, man." Then Press Hilton tweeted out this image with the caption, "Who did it better, James Charles or me?" Showing an image of a golden lamb statue lodged in between his ass cheeks. It might be a golden pig statue. Either way, pretty interesting image. And the interesting images do not end there, because James Charles's initial nude tweet quickly became a meme, with people posting the same caption that James Charles made with their own images of them being nude. The first one I personally saw was from Quackity, where he posts an image of a naked Roblox character. Grande uses this meme to post the image of the main character from Witcher 3 in a bathtub. We have the meme Borber posting a naked Minecraft skin. Priest Pucky posts the ass of Carl from Jimmy Neutron with the caption, "Is this a James Charles pic y'all talking about?" Nick Diorio posts all stuff Oreos, which is basically a meme image of Oreos with only the cream and no shell. Nick Diorio, Oreos, no shell, nudes. I don't know why I'm explaining it to you, but there you go. It's pretty funny. And I'm not joking when I say that. It is funny. So you better fucking laugh, because I told you to. Okay, moving on. Toad McKinley posts an image of this incredibly obese person who is obese to the point where I don't even know where their dick would be. And then we have one of the most popular tweets that came out of this meme. Ethan Klein's bare ass. And he's not as thick as he led us to believe, because in this image he actually has a rather flat and wrinkly ass. I personally feel betrayed as a longtime viewer of H3. He has always said that he has a thick ass and he's a thick boy, and honestly this image just completely shatters any illusion I've had of Ethan having a great ass. This ass is just, God, it is disappointing to say the least. But it seemed to be good enough for Cyrus, as he responded with damn, eye emoji, praying emoji, 100 emoji, stop, heart, and siren. Memeology reacted to this by saying, "Ethan Klein too? What the fuck?" No Fucker says, "I've seen Ethan Klein's ass on my timeline, and I want to jump off a bridge. My ass ain't as thick as it used to be. So sorry." Justin Wang responded to Ethan by showing a picture of E.T., who is also very wrinkly. Hila Klein made a tweet thanking everyone for the success on her clothing brand Teddy Fresh, to which Ethan responded, "Proud of you, Hila," posting a picture of his bare ass yet again. God, Ethan is a brave man to say the least, especially considering he has a son who will end up seeing these images in about 10 years time. I love the balls on this guy. And speaking of balls, Anything for Views actually posted his balls in his version of this meme, which is no surprise coming from him because he is known for showing off his body and being completely shameless about it, even more shameless than Ethan could ever be. I really didn't need to see that though. I really didn't need to see that. Here we have a Pressed Bake posting Sonic the Hedgehog ass, and it looks like that Sonic is also pregnant. God, after last video, I really did not need to see another degenerate Sonic image, but you know what? You just can't. You really can't avoid it. All I wanted to do was enjoy the Sonic the Hedgehog video games, but the internet really won't let me. Tipster. Oh god. Oh god. The worst part about this is this image is not Tipster, but based off his profile picture and that image and just comparing the two, you could easily mistake that guy for being Tipster if you've never seen a Tipster video, and yeah. But it's not something he has to worry about anymore because Tipster unfortunately got suspended on Twitter. I don't know what for, but maybe it's because he posted some naked fat man in a Tipster hat. Who knows? Who knows? But I do feel bad for him losing his account. Be sure to follow him on YouTube and Twitch because he makes some great stuff. Some Dolan Dark Duck Ass for all those zoophiles out there who are interested in seeing that. The Devil decided to show his dick on Twitter. We have John Swan posting his swan nudes. And after all of this, Augie posts a tweet that I thought was very relatable. It says, "Me scrolling through Twitter tonight."
My ass. Sorry. Oh, never mind.
Once James Charles's ass started to circulate, James Charles decided to post his nude again, but this time, an image is censoring his ass, which says, "We need to put out the fucking Amazon rainforest fires before we all fucking die." Very true, very noble message to use as a replacement for your ass. A lot of people should probably be looking at that instead of your ass, but it's a little too late for that now. Ethan Klein asks, "Can someone Photoshop James Charles with my ass, please?" And then Joey Salads comes and actually does it, and that looks horrifying. That looks horrifying. Again, you can't see it on screen because YouTube doesn't want me to show ass. Ricky Berwick decided to join in and show his ass to the world. He then added well-known hentai artist Shadbase and said, "Yo, got any ideas?" To which he responded, "In this case, reality is stranger than fiction." Keemstar took this image of Ricky Berwick and tweeted it out with the caption, "Stop animal testing now. Look what they did to this poor rat."
Somebody call PETA. Look at me.
And then Keemstar got banned on Twitter for 12 hours for bullying and harassment. That is just the most hilarious thing ever. Please unblock me, Keem. Joey Salads responded to this tweet by saying, "Ricky has 2 butts," which it actually kind of looks like Ricky has 2 butts. OJ Simpson tweeted something out, and then Pimp Master Yoda decided to respond with this Twitter video.
Hey OJ, hey OJ, hey OJ. That James Charles meme everybody doing right now, they are. Do it also you must. Copy and paste this you must. And then a photo of your ass you must take. Upload it you should. Yes. Also, stop murdering people you must. Thank you.
Keemstar decided to then post his own ass picture and did not know he was that thick. Did not realize that Keem had that big of an ass. And of course, Adam22 posted his hairy ass on his Twitter, which seemed bigger than it might actually be because he photoshopped the cheeks to be bigger. I cannot believe I'm saying the stuff I'm saying. What the fuck did I witness? What the actual fuck went down on Twitter? There was just a huge spree of men really wanting to show their asses to the world. And I can't say that I enjoyed it, but maybe you got some enjoyment out of it. And if you did, be sure to leave a like. So a few days ago, James Charles tweeted out, "Just spent 30 minutes in the Starbucks parking lot filming a Snapchat rant about something bothering me, but instead of posting, I listened to myself rant and then click delete. Sometimes it's healthy to have a conversation with yourself before having it with others." Now this tweet was received fairly well, with people like Keemstar replying to it with, "OMG, James, why? I need to know. Tell me off the record, lol," which I do feel it is a bit weird that a 30-year-old man is extremely interested in the gossip of a 20-year-old makeup artist, but that aside, the point is, this tweet was received fairly well, although there are some people who weren't very pleased with the tweet. The person in particular who I'll be talking about today is Kavos, who responded to James Charles by saying, "Sometimes it's better to have a conversation with yourself." He says after telling all of his Twitter he spent 30 minutes attempting to record a mega rant about something or someone. If anything, being passive-aggressive like this is worse. Nicholas Diorio responds to him by saying, "I bet the barista spelled his name wrong, laughing my fucking ass off," to which Kavos responds with a laughing crying emoji. In addition to quoting the tweet, Kavos responded to the tweet itself in a reply that says, "But now you have told everyone you had a rant about something you felt was important enough to share on Snapchat, which now leads to speculation of what the rant was about. Shane and Jeffrey, maybe? and defeats the point of talking to yourself because now everyone knows. Or maybe you just want to make yourself out to be a bigger person, but this is just passive-aggressive as fuck, and worse than an actual genuine rant. Q-Star responded to Kavos by saying, I think you're trying to make this more than it is. I read it as just him trying to give some advice to his audience. I don't see how his experience to advising people to think twice before posting something in an emotional moment is a bad thing. Kavos then responds, you can give the same advice without telling everyone you spent 30 minutes trying to record a rant on someone. Q-Star then responded to that by saying, do you want him to lie to his audience about how stupid it was to spend 30 minutes ranting about something in a reactionary fashion? Kavos then replied, I don't care, lol. But all we do know now is that he dislikes someone or something enough to make a 30-minute rant about, defeating the whole point of deleting the rant, and not sharing it, because now, we know there was a rant to begin with. Q-Star then replied, I get where you're coming from, but we don't really know what he was ranting about. Everyone can assume what they want, but at the end of the day, the rant would have been a more actual direct anger towards a certain entity. I don't know. I just don't see it as a problematic tweet. Now, the reason I'm talking about this in the first place is because James Charles actually responded to Kavos' reply. He says, or maybe you're looking too far into it, because it had to do with the relationships, and I decided it was a topic that's no one's business but my own? Fuck off. Kavos then replied, James, what happened to listening to yourself rant and then clicking delete? I was speculating what it was, because that's a door you open up yourself by posting this tweet in the first place. James then replies, no, you're looking for drama where there is none. Shocking. To which Kavos replies, don't be mad that Shane Dawson's palette is better than yours. I absolutely love how much Kavos is trying to stir up shit in this scenario. Like, it's so clear that he doesn't give too much of a fuck about this tweet, only like to a small extent. He's just trying to stir up more shit. I think it's funny. Either way, Sister Annie wasn't very happy. Also, her is James Charles with 2 S's, so you know this is gonna be good. She responds by saying, imagine being so bored and annoy a person who is trying to be a better person. Can't relate. Kavos responds, he told me to fuck off, lol. To which Annie responds, maybe he had a reason to which Kavos responds, maybe I had a reason to, and then Annie responds, a reason to bully someone who is finally proud of himself? Wow, what a sad life. Then Kavos replies, disagreeing is not bullying, bitch. Lillian replies by saying, it's embarrassing at this point. Please have a seat and don't get yourself into situations you can't handle. Kavos replies, who said I can't handle this? I'm loving it. Eden replies, James Charles stans are so triggered. I love it. Kavos replies, I'm bathing in their tears right now. Zartly responds to Kavos' comment about Shane Dawson's palette by saying, that is the worst comeback I've ever seen. Kavos replies, it's not meant to be good, lol. It's dumb. That's why it's funny to me. As if I even know what palette is better. Lillian then replies, it's not funny. That's offensive. The fact that you see that funny, it's scary. Kavos replies, offensive? You are crazy. Lillian then responds, I said it's offensive. You know why? It doesn't matter what palette is better. I wish success for everyone. But the fact that you're using it as a weapon to hurt him? You know he worked hard on it and means a lot to him. You know that was gonna piss him off. So stop your hypocrisy. Joshua says, fuck buddy, is there one person on the internet who likes you? Kavos replies, I hope not. Bill says, this is petty. To which Kavos replies, I think he's going too hard to make himself out to be this great guy. If you wanted to just talk to yourself, then do it. And don't tell others, because now everyone's wondering what he was ranting about. Bill replies, you're starting to sound like him. Casper responds to Kavos by saying, way too deep, bro. And then Kavos replies, if your advice is to talk to yourself before ranting, then keep it to yourself. Lol. Him telling people he tried recording a rant for 30 minutes only causes drama he claims he didn't want. Casper replies, no it doesn't, laughing my ass off. He doesn't throw shade at anyone or drops any hints of anything. He was just mad about something and needed to get it off his chest. It felt good for him to do that, so he was telling other people that doing that could help them. It's not that deep. Kavos replies, it's always that deep. Sorry bro. Casper then responds, love you dude, just making a mountain out of nothing. Earthquake responds to Kavos by saying, I normally like your take on things. This seems like a desperate attempt for you to call someone out. Kavos replies, I mean, it's nothing crazy. I wouldn't call him out, lol. I just think what he's saying is passive-aggressive and defeats the point of talking to yourself. Kavos then elaborates on what he means by replying to his own tweet and saying, I don't get the point of telling people you have now deleted a rant while telling them to talk to themselves and let things go. If you truly believe that, then surely we shouldn't know there was a rant to begin with, lol. To be honest though, it's not really that big of a deal, but I just found it funny and hypocritical. But I'm probably not going to think about this ever again after today, lol. The Rewired Soul quote tweets Kavos and says, is it possible that James Charles caught himself about to act out of emotion, stopped himself, and then decided to share that experience to hopefully inspire others to do the same? Kavos then replies, it's not that inspiring to be honest, lol. The Rewired Soul then responds with the Google definition of subjective, to which Kavos responds, still defeats the point of deleting a rant and talking to yourself if you're going to post about how you went on a 30-minute rampage. Lillian responds to Kavos' extra string of tweets by saying, he wanted to show growth about how you were showing how immature you are by trying to drag him into your shit. He was trying so hard to stay out of drama and be a better person. Can you please grow up? Kavos then replies, you don't show growth by tweeting shit, lol. It's about your actions, and after today, clearly he's the same, and still loves a bit of tasty drama. Emma responds to Kavos by saying, I don't understand the backlash you're getting, when it was very obvious that that tweet was not only hypocritical, but also fishing for praise. Kavos in response, exactly. And then, Kavos says on his Twitter, James Charles got big mad at me, showing that he actually blocked him. He then follows it up by saying, I don't even know what a fucking palette even is. But this is what got him, showing the insult he made towards James Charles about Shane Dawson's palette being better. Holy shit, that is hilarious. Limp Dick Energy responds to him by saying, you tried to insult him, why wouldn't he block you? Kavos responds, no, I didn't agree with what he was saying. It was hypocritical and baiting for praise. Not everyone will agree with you in life. I know that may shock you. Then she responds, not mad, just annoyed with your shit. Anyways, stan I'm Alex for good hell. Gal with the art responds, didn't I'm Alex try to throw someone under the bus for false allegations though? Limp Dick Energy responds, nope. And then Kavos said, yes he did. And if you want to hear all about that, I have a video series on the channel regarding the whole I'm Alex situation, so be sure to check that out if you are interested. As for my opinion on the small Twitter feud, I do think Kavos was trying to take something out of James Charles' tweet that wasn't really there and kind of make a mountain out of a molehill. But at the same time, I did like the back and forths he had with the James Charles fans. I found it pretty amusing, so ultimately I'm glad he made the tweets, but it's not something I personally took out of the James Charles tweet, and I kind of disagree with the notion that James Charles would want to be getting into any type of drama, even slightly, because after the shit he went through in May, I think he wants to stay as far away from drama as possible, but that's just my interpretation of the situation. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments section below. We are talking about Jeffree Star today, and specifically how he's trying to become friends with James Charles less than a year after falsely accusing him of being a predator. So this all started when Charlie D'Amelio tweeted out, holy moly, Donut Chop 1 and 3 are trending on YouTube at James Charles, showing that the video collabs between him and James Charles are actually trending on YouTube. Jeffree Star quote tweets this and says, you look so gorgeous. James killing it, as per usual, 100% emoji. Now, normally, this wouldn't be an issue at all, but it is when you consider Jeffree Star and James Charles' past. I think Oh My God Expose You, also known as Will Spill on Twitter, said it best when he tweeted out, what the fuck? I really hope James doesn't become friends with the man who falsely accused him of being a predator in front of millions and attacked his little brother, permanently damaging his image and career. So for those of you who are not caught up on the situation, back in May of 2019, a YouTuber called Taddy Westbrook uploaded an exposed video on James Charles filled with a bunch of false allegations. This resulted in him losing millions of subscribers, the biggest subscriber loss on YouTube to date. A bunch of beauty YouTubers, including Jeffree Star, hopped on the James Charles hate train during this time, but Jeffree Star took the extra step to accuse James Charles of some pretty abhorrent behavior, talk shit about his brother, and also say some pretty horrible things about James Charles himself. I'm going to take a clip from James Charles's response video and let him explain the situation himself.
A few days later, on Monday, I woke up again in the middle of the night from a phone call from my little brother Ian, who was very, very upset. He told me he had tweeted saying, why do people act so tough online about somebody from his hometown who was bullying him? And Jeffree Star, of all people, had quote tweeted Ian's tweet saying, why is your brother a predator? Why did you really move back to New York City? Exactly, shut the fuck up. Many people were quick to call out Jeffree for bullying a kid who had nothing to do with the situation literally at all, and he deleted the tweet. After this, I went to check my phone and noticed that Jeffree had texted me a few minutes prior, and I opened my phone to this. I really want to read this text out loud just so you all get to hear exactly what I had to read, but also so I don't miss anything. Grayson is going on camera shortly to finally tell the world how you tried to molest him and touch him in his sleep and made him uncomfortable for months, you sick motherfucker. Next, Zach will be going on camera to tell how twisted and sick you were, trying to get him to like you and then make him feel bad when he didn't want to send you photos back. Then Sam from Seattle will be joining me and Cameron to talk about you trapping him in his hotel room. You need to be locked in prison for a very long time. You need the internet taken away from you. You are a danger to society. As disgusting as it is, I have to admit, bringing up Grayson Dolan was pretty clever. At the height of all these allegations and stories going around, both of the twins unfollowed me, not wanting to be associated, and fans started speculating that the rumors could be as to why. Too bad that aside from our pre-planned collaborative jokes that happened in the Sister Squad videos, me and Grayson flirting, nothing ever happened between us. And when all this went down, I knew Jeffree was lying because the twins were two of the first people to call me and make sure that I was okay. Last but finally not least, Jeffree posted this tweet claiming he hadn't seen me since February and that Nate banned me from their home. Now, this so-called ban is the first time I'm ever hearing of this, and I just think it's really funny that Jeffree brought this up, considering the fact that he's tweeted me twice in between February and now saying that he missed me. Regardless, he ended that tweet by saying I was a danger to society and everything in Tati's video was 100% true. Adding insult to injury, not only did Jeffree text me, but he also went out of his way to text my best friend, Drew, this lovely message trying to turn him against me. Jeffree's messaging about me both in private and in public was hurtful, defamatory, extremely excessive, but most importantly, literally all based on lies. I wish I knew why he was doing all this, but at the same time, his track record with public feuds makes none of this a surprise.
Immediately after this video was released by James Charles, Jeffree Star went to Twitter to say that he had tons of proof towards James being a predator and that he would release it shortly, but instead of releasing it a couple days later, he made a video saying that he was done with drama altogether. And now the fact that he's praising James Charles proves to me that he had no evidence of James Charles being a predator in the first place, because if you legitimately thought someone was a predator, you wouldn't be saying that they're gorgeous and killing it as per usual. You would stick to your principles and continue to distance yourself from a predator. Unless James Charles being a predator is actually true, despite there being no evidence of it and Jeffree Star having a track record of lying, which in that case Jeffree Star would be complimenting a predator for clout. I feel like any way you spin this does not look good for Jeffree Star. So I tweeted out my opinion of this situation, and oh boy, I got some pretty interesting replies. Replies that perfectly illustrate why Jeffree Star time and time again over the last 15 years has been able to maintain a positive reputation despite very clearly being exposed time and time again as a horrible person. We have tweets like, "The drama you fans thrive off of are people's real lives. Maybe they grew up quicker than you did and realized it wasn't worth it. So he can't be a decent human being and be nice to someone he doesn't like without being friends with that person? Chilly. You don't have to hate someone forever, like, huh? It's called growing, laughing my ass off. Or, I don't know, they cleared things up? People grow and change. People apologize and people forgive. It's called life and being kind to others. Or maybe people are allowed to forgive and reunite? Not everyone holds grudges. Shut the fuck up. A lot can change in a year, and you have no clue what is even going on, so sit the fuck down. Lol. Ever heard of forgiveness? Yes. Jeffree is humble and forgave James Charles. Shut the fuck up. Okay, this one in particular, it's just like, you really think that James Charles was the one in the wrong and Jeffree forgave him. Okay, buddy. At least he wasn't as insane as this guy who said Jeffree didn't want that kid to kill himself because he was suicidal and didn't want to be the reason for James Charles' death or mental health. Common sense, man. Jeffree said James molested the Dolans. The Dolans still follow and support Jeffree. Means Jeffree was right all along. Yes, if you accuse someone of molestation and the alleged victims follow the accuser, that 100% means that James Charles molested the Dolans. That's how it works. Whenever a defendant or a prosecutor brings up evidence, they definitely use Twitter follows as a definitive form of proof in regards to sexual assault. Someone then brings up how Jeffree Star accused James, and Lex responds, because James was acting like a predator, laughing my ass off. It's in the past. They've clearly moved on from it. Why hasn't the internet? Okay, so let me answer this one and, by proxy, all of the other ones I previously read out. The reason why the internet hasn't forgiven Jeffree Star, and I don't feel like James should forgive Jeffree Star, is because this is a serious accusation that, despite being vindicated, will still follow James into the foreseeable future, because with millions of people paying attention to this, it's very possible that some people saw the accusations and not the response to them, and legitimately thinks that James Charles is a predator, and the fact that Lex here still says that James was acting like a predator despite no proof proves my point that this still affects James Charles. People still think that James Charles acted like a predator. Even if it's 1% of the audience that thinks that, that's still hundreds of thousands of people who think that James Charles has predatory behavior. And number two is that Jeffree Star has a history of this behavior. This isn't just a one-time thing. And him accusing James Charles of being a predator actually wasn't the last time that Jeffree Star had problematic behavior on social media. Because as recently as 1 day ago, Jeffree Star tweeted at Will Spill saying, "Are you helping anyone in need or just mocking and degrading my actions? There are people out there who actually can't afford to eat. I'm doing everything I can to help. You are fucking disgusting." This was over a misunderstanding where he thought Will Spill was directly criticizing Jeffree Star recently giving out money to people in need. Will Spill clarified that that wasn't the case, and Jeffree Star misinterpreted his tweet, to which Jeffree Star responded by saying, "I honestly feel bad for you. You are obsessed, but also really unstable. I unblock you because you are a fan, but please waste more time shit-talking me instead of helping the planet. You are such a genius." So obviously, these tweets, while on their own not being extremely damning, I feel in combination with Jeffree's promises to be less dramatic, and also his 15-year history of hostile behavior, indicates that Jeffree Star, in reality, really hasn't changed at all from the James Charles situation, and is probably willing to do this all again. And for those reasons, I think that James Charles should not forgive Jeffree Star, and we shouldn't forgive Jeffree Star either. At least until we see a pattern of behavior from him that indicates that he has actually changed his ways. Jeffree Star is a hot-headed, self-made millionaire who will do anything to improve his own brand, his own profit, his own image, and goes to 110% with it every single time, to the point of making up false allegations about people, and also in positive ways, such as building his own multi-million-dollar makeup industry empire, which, honestly, congratulations to him for doing that. His tendency to go above and beyond is definitely a major contributor to that success, but it's also a major contributor to why he is dangerous and why other people shouldn't work with him if they want to keep their brand and reputation safe. At this point, being a big YouTuber also means you're a big clothing brand. Almost every big YouTuber at this point has merch, but considering a lot of these people originally meant to be entertainers and not clothing designers, a lot of YouTuber merch ends up being lackluster, and only something you would get if you're a fan of the channel. But occasionally, YouTubers come up with a merch brand so good that it ends up becoming more popular than the YouTube channel itself. And there's no better example of this than H3's Teddy Fresh merch. A brand so successful that they ended up collaborating with SpongeBob, as well as revitalizing the trend of color block merchandise. But obviously, being a trendsetter means that other people will follow in the trend. And that happened when James Charles announced his new merch line, which looks very similar to H3's Teddy Fresh. H3 decided to comment on this on his Twitter when he said, "I know we didn't invent color blocking, but I'm having a hard time with the new James Charles merch. It's the same exact design as Ila's. Combined with the fact that his audience is so huge, many people will assume he designed it and start accusing us of plagiarism. What do you think?" He then shows a picture of James Charles's merch, his merch, and then the amount of people on TikTok who are seeing the promotional material for James Charles's merch. He then follows it up by saying, "It's possible it's all a totally cosmic coincidence." But he pretty much used the identical colors here too. He at least moved them around a bit. Alex Hirsch responds to H3 by saying, "100% ripoff, bro. You're selling Teddy Fresh. He is selling Teddy Stale." Ethan responds, "Thank you, Mr. Hirsch." CEO of Nothing says, "Holy shit, that's a straight up ripoff." James Miller says, "Dude, I saw that top left video on my timeline today and was hyped James Charles was rocking Teddy Fresh. Thought it was like an upcoming crossover or some shit. Damn, I feel for Ela here." Nerd City responds by saying, "And another one," showing a mock-up of a James Charles ripoff of Logan Paul's merch. Keegan then responds to him by saying, "This is getting out of hand," showing a James Charles ripoff of Nerd City merch. Elvis the Alien responds to Ethan by saying, "It's practically the exact same thing. There's no way this is a coincidence. If he wasn't a YouTuber, then maybe. But even then," Ethan responds, "It's the fact that it's the same exact colors and placement. It's almost identical. Otherwise, I would have never even mentioned it." William Olsman responds to Ethan by saying, "I thought this was a collab at first glance." Ethan responds, "Unfortunately not." Anna the Star Being says, "Dude, it's basically plagiarism. Yes, you didn't invent color blocking, but you definitely popularized it. It's your signature style. He even used the same colors but just lighter. He didn't even try to make it look different. Like, what the fuck?" This is my face right now. Keen says, "You should attack the Sidemen. Nordstorm and many other companies as well then," showing that the Sidemen also made a color block hoodie very similar to Ethan's. Awful Bartender responds to Ethan by saying, This style has been around for a while. It's literally a 90s aesthetic. And you can find identical looks by googling 90s color block hoodies like I did, and it took about 2 seconds. I'm not even a James Charles fan, but the reach here is pretty embarrassing." Zach Stevens responds to H3 by saying, "I mean, y'all jacked the Vancouver Grizzlies shit like it was no big deal. Lol, now you are complaining when someone does it to you? Come on, bro." Showing that a Teddy Fresh design does indeed look similar to the Vancouver Grizzlies. Red Hot Dank Moist responds to H3 by saying, "Lol, and I'm going to call out Tommy Hilfiger for stealing the idea from you." Psst, stop Ethan. You think there are any original ideas? Everything's a copy with a variation. You can spot the differences. If yes, then stop whining and do something constructive about it. Love you though. Oscar says, "Isn't this his best friend?" Laughing my ass off, showing that one of James Charles's friends wore Teddy Fresh on Instagram. Ethan responds to him by saying, "I've heard they are friends, but I'm not 100% sure." And then Oscar replies by showing a picture of a bunch of videos he ended up doing with James Charles. Creepshow Art quote tweets Ethan and says, "Okay, here's the thing. No. As an artist, the answer is actually no. The concept is absolutely way too vague to be considered plagiarism. The exact colors do not match. And this concept has been around long before you or Ela did this. It is similar, yes, but color blocked. Sweatshirts have been around forever. Had he copied the logo and branding, you would have a case. Also, I have more to say. Ethan saying this would be like me saying Ethan or Ela copied Paddington, Winnie the Pooh, or even fucking Build-A-Bear by having a bear as their logo. It's a dumb argument, and he should feel bad about it. In the news today, I tie-dyed something, therefore no one else can do it. I made it. It's mine. If you tie-dye anything, you owe me royalties." Smokey Glow responds to Creepshow by saying, "Also they are on opposite ends of the internet, and have polar opposite fan bases. His argument that people would think they stole from James doesn't really hold up. It kind of feels like he just wanted to call him out to call him out." Creepshow continues talking about this when she says, "Here's why this is stupid. Ethan saying this is essentially saying no one could have ever come up to this design without seeing the Teddy Fresh one first. They did not invent or popularize this design. It's like saying you made tie-dye merch, and therefore anyone else who makes tie-dye merch is inspired by you. which is clearly not the case, because tie-dye has been around for years. Hila was inspired by the artists who came before her. A designer didn't need to know about Teddy Fresh to make this design. T-Spill reacts to Ethan's tweet by saying, "Hi guys, welcome back to yet another weekly Respill." She then makes a poll that says, "Did James copy the hoodie?" Which at 20k.7 votes, ended up being 65% guilty and 35% innocent. She then continued by saying, "If James/his merch team changed the color placement, then there would be no issues. The color placement is just too much of a coincidence. Yes, this style has been around for a long time, but I've only seen this color story from Teddy Fresh." James Charles himself then responds to Ethan when he says, "When you DM'd me yesterday, I sent you the original photo that inspired my collection. Explained I've never seen your brand, but also asked what you wanted me to do. You didn't reply. After last year, I vowed to keep conversations private and create solutions, not drama. H3, if you'd like to continue our conversation and find a solution, my DMs are still open." Foul Syrup responds to James by saying, "Baby, you're ripping off Hila Klein, and she worked hard to create her brand. At least flip the colors around. This is literally exactly the same. Come on now. Make something personal to your brand and sell to your fans. It would be more meaningful, trust." A-Boy replies to James by saying, "But yours in the exact same colors. You were basically stealing. Why are you so problematic?" Jonah AF says, "So if James plagiarized, what about these? I can go into my mom's closet and find some pastel color block clothing from the 80s. Teddy Fresh, if you want to win the game of fame, don't cry about it. Be better. Sell for a lower price, whatever. Clients will gravitate to the better piece." Sophie says, "Even if you didn't see their brand before, your team should have done more research. Teddy Fresh is not a small brand. You used the exact same colors down to the cuffs. I find it hard to believe someone on your team didn't see Teddy Fresh before." Dustin Daly responds to James by saying, "Don't even bother with them, James." Cuddle Time Kitty says, "Okay, James, I like you. But this is literally the exact same color scheme. Same arms, main body, hood, strings, and even the wrist. There's no denying that whoever designed this for you saw Hila's design and copied it." Miku responds to James by saying, "Crazy you say you haven't seen it, yet it's all over TikTok, and one of the people you follow has a video where they are wearing it." Leafy responds to James by saying, "W." He then designs his own color block hoodie and says, "Collaboration project with James Charles. Cut and sewn limited edition design. Giving 7 away that retweet this." And then he tweets out that Hila blocked him for this. Anyways, Ethan responds to James by saying, "I give you permission to share our convo. You told me you were going to sell them anyway. You also admitted that the similarity wasn't a coincidence. I DM'd you because I wanted to keep this private, but I found your response combative and dismissive." Ethan then posts his response again to James Charles, but this time in a quote tweet, which causes some more people to reply to it. Chris Melberger responds to H3 by saying, "Every kid in 2018/19 on TikTok had one of these damn hoodies. I doubt he had never seen them before." Foul Syrup says, "Not his first time ripping off another brand either," showing that James Charles did a very similar design to Pablo. Triple Decker Supreme responds to H3 by saying, "No offense to Hila, but are we all seriously pretending as if the design is super original in the first place? It's literally 4 colors on a soft hoodie. I hate to say that a 5-year-old could have designed it, but it looks like something straight out of a kid's coloring book." Courtney Charlie says, "Sharing the convo is literally the opposite of being mature and professional. Grow up, H3. This is a business, not high school drama." Hila then makes a tweet of her own on the situation by saying, "I guess I might as well share some behind the scenes. This is my first sketch of the color block hoodie from 2017, before we had a logo for Teddy Fresh, and in the other pic is the pink one. This is usually how I work on our color palettes." Ethan responds to her by saying, "Queen." Creepshow Art quote tweets her and says, "This doesn't show anything? Other than you knew what color blocking was in 2017. Seeing as it has been around in fashion for years, I genuinely feel like I'm taking crazy pills." Paige Christie says, "I don't care about Ethan, Hila, or James. They are all millionaires having millionaire problems. Teddy Fresh isn't inventive. The fact y'all are fighting over this is embarrassing." Bewend in response to Hila by saying, "Y'all act like slapping a couple colors on a hoodie is so hard. So many websites have the exact same hoodies, same color and everything. Y'all are just mad because it's James Charles." Sebastian responds to Hila by saying, "I'm not trying to defend James Charles, but I'm gonna say you look ridiculous pretending the idea was original to begin with. It's literally a classics 90 color block fashion. There are ones that have been around since then, that look also identical to yours. So let's stop." Melissa says, "This is undoubtedly him stealing your ideas, Hila. I'm sorry people are so selfish and unoriginal." Lenore responds to her by saying, I had a hoodie nearly identical to this in 1995. Color block pastels aren't original. You can Google pastel color block hoodie and see hundreds of them. It's cute and trendy. Was super popular in the 80s and 90s, and is currently a trend in Asia. Keemstar tweets out, I support James Charles. He did nothing wrong. James Charles is being falsely accused by an individual who has falsely accused me. Hashtag Stan James. Is Ethan Klein trying to convince the internet he created pastel colors? I'm pretty sure the Easter Bunny could sue that motherfucker. Retweet for a chance to win a hoodie I've been working on since 1993. This is my original idea I came up with when I was in the 5th grade. Ricky Berwick responds to him by saying this.
Better give me one, goddammit.
Leafy copies Keemstar's tweet and then tweets out a Twitter video titled, Don't Trust Ethan.
Alright, welcome back to a brand new video. As you can see, the gameplay has changed quite a bit. Bro, this shit is so sick. Can you imagine if I actually got in a car accident mid-fucking one of these videos? Alright, I'm not hitting 110, bro. I'm gonna get fucking pulled over. But, oh my god. We're almost at 120. Let's go, 120, bro. Alright, I'm not going fucking higher than that. Anyways, dude, what was I even gonna talk about with this shit? I don't even know, man. Fucking Ethan Klein. You know, definitely a little bit of a snake. I don't know, man. It's been a few years. He's like still doing people dirty like that. It's not very cool, man. You know? Next thing you know, he's just gonna start like leaking people's DMs. Just, you know, really not a trustworthy guy. What else is there even that, you know, needs to be said? I don't know. Dude, am I really getting pulled over?
Leafy then tweets out, holy shit bro, Black Lives Matter, what the fuck? Showing that the cops are coming to pull him over for speeding. He then says, police was tipped by Ethan, but only a verbal warning. Police said nice bends, hold L. Taro responds, police less corrupt than Twitch and YouTube. Obviously referring to Leafy being banned on both platforms. Leafy then responds, lol. Yeah, very nice to me. Now I'm home and can eat my late night McDonald's. Young Crip tweets out, I know I didn't invent disabilities, but I'm having a hard time with Ricky Berwick's wheelchair. It has the same 4-wheel design as mine. Combined with the fact that his audience is so huge, many people will assume he is more disabled and start accusing me of plagiarism. What do you think? Ricky responds by saying this.
This is a horrible fucking joke. Delete this.
Someone asks Philip DeFranco, any thoughts on the H3 and James Charles situation? To which he responds, slowly puts away potential color block, don't be stupid, stupid design. James responds, I'd buy it. TwizFizz makes a parody video on this titled, made some new original merch. No stealing.
What's up guys? Today I'm very excited to share with you something I've been working on for the past 3 years. That's right, my very own, completely original, new merch line. Whoa! Just what do you think you're doing? Why? I was just premiering my new merch line with my new original design. Your design? That's my original design! I have no idea what you're talking about. I went to design school for 10 years to make that design and you just stole it! I've never seen your brand before in my life. Liar! Now everyone's gonna think I stole this from you! Oh, sorry you're that irrelevant. Oh, well sorry, your merch is ugly. Oh, what? It's the same as yours. Oh, so you admit it. Well, fine. Fine, they look similar. What do you want me to do about it? Let's figure something out. We can't figure something out now! Let's just have a little talk, figure something out. You're already selling it! We'll figure something out. No! We can just have a little talk. There's literally nothing you can do to fix this now! Well, then what do you want? To be angry! Hey guys, what's up? Oh, matching. Where did you get that hoodie? I don't know, just some random shop. Oh my god, I can't believe this! They stole my original
Repzilla tweets out, "Gonna be honest, James Charles can use color block pattern, cause it's just that, a pattern." Internet Unwind says, "Laughing my ass off, call me crazy. It's totally possible that James Charles merch wasn't designed after Teddy Fresh. It's an 80s fashion that other brands are also doing. I don't know. I really doubt Ela started the revival of color block in my opinion. It's probably coincidence. As for the color matching, it's possible the designer he had doing these had seen Teddy merch at some point and unintentionally recreated it. There's a funny thing we do in our brains where we don't always fully recall information when creating and duplicating things thinking it's new. It's not a stretch as it happens all the time. However, it's clearly just one possibility that would explain the situation. The designs could have been intentionally nabbed at some point along the line, but I think there's too much nuance for this reaction, laughing my ass off." Roberto Blake says, "The same kids defending James Charles stealing Ela Klein's design would crucify any YouTuber for copying James' titles or thumbnails. Just think about that for a moment, while simultaneously insisting that companies should never copyright claim creators." Ethan Klein then finds an old tweet that James made on September 7th, 2019, where he said, "There are only so many colors you can put into an eyeshadow palette, and I'm not claiming to own specific colors, but when you copy the exact shades and layout from my palette without even trying to hide it?" Clown emojis. Ethan comments on this by saying, then follows it up by saying, "For context, a company made a palette with colors very similar to his, and this was his response." I'm gonna leave this message on screen for a bit. It's pretty long, and this video is already kind of long, so I don't want to read it out, but James is just essentially saying that this brand copied his color palette, which is kind of hypocritical considering his current situation with Teddy Fresh. Courtney Charlie responds to H3 by saying, "Did you express this concern to him privately, or are you just gonna keep trying to cause a hate train towards him?" Sierra responds to him by saying, "Laughing my ass off, bro. Not everything revolves around James Charles. Ethan even defended him during the Taddy drama. I'm sure he doesn't want hate towards him, but his wife worked really hard to make her dream come true, and for another person to just copy it, it sucks." About a day later, Ethan continues to talk about the situation by posting this TikTok with the caption, "I really would never say anything, but it's the exact colors in the exact spot on our most iconic item." Kayla responds to H3 by saying, "Grown men fighting with a 21-year-old over something that could have been talked about in DMs or a phone call. If it's that deep, file a lawsuit or something. Not sure what fans are gonna do to solve the situation for either of you." Herix19 says, "I agree with you, but you're really milking this Speaking of milking it, he talks about this topic more in depth on his podcast later that day. Here is what he said.
As you guys may know, we are embroiled in a little tiny bit of a controversy with James Charles. And by the way, it's not because he's got a bigger, fatter ass than me.
Because he doesn't.
Now that you say that,
that's a whole different issue. People be like, Ethan, you're just mad because he has a fatter ass than you.
I actually have not seen anyone say that, but now I doubt everything.
Yeah, there's definitely an ulterior motive. By the way, you can compare ass to ass and decide for yourself who has a fatter ass. And I do want to preface this by saying that I have nothing personal about James Charles. And my intention with this of calling him out was not, I really, really wanted to avoid drama. And that's why I private messaged him before going public with this. But, like, the thing is, I mean, you guys know because you guys are fans, but a lot of people don't understand is that that hoodie is, like, our most iconic piece. And it's our #1 seller. It has been for years. And, like, James Charles making, it's exactly the same hoodie.
It's actually been ripped off a lot, too. But normally, like...
Here, let me show it because people may not know.
We wouldn't really... do anything about it because what can you do? But I think in this case it just kind of hurt because it's a fellow YouTuber who's actually got way bigger influence than we do.
Yeah, way big.
And so it just kind of hurts. But, you know.
Well, the thing is, like,
these things do happen.
There's tons of websites like Zazzle and
Zayful.
There's tons of websites.
Did a complete exact copy of it.
People all over the internet have been doing that.
Yeah.
And then, but, like, the thing is that, well, here I tweeted out. I didn't know we didn't invent color blocking, which is again something that I really stand behind because color blocking is very popular and a lot of people do color blocks. And I would never dream of saying, oh, you own color block. We own color blocking, and you're stealing. So, but the thing is here is that I'm having a hard time with his merch because this is the exact same design as Hila's. And combined with the fact that his audience is so huge, they're going to start accusing us of plagiarism. What do you think? So here's his hoodie. And then here's our hoodie. It's the same sleeve color.
Hi, sisters.
Teal and purple. The same body color. It's just a little lighter, really. Same hood. Even the hood and the drawstring are yellow. The sleeves are yellow. I mean, it's literally exactly the same.
Wow.
So here's all the TikToks where he was promoting the hoodie. That has a combined view count of like 60 million. Yeah, 60 million. Maybe more. I mean, maybe more. So like I basically just out of pure self-preservation was like, look, I got to. We thought about it for a few days because it started popping up more and more. People being like, hey, James Charles is ripping your shit off, And I thought about it for a long time. And I DM'd him in the DMs, and I want to share it so fucking bad because he brought it up. When I DM'd him, first of all, he was super dismissive and flippant and rude because my intention was to be like, I don't want it to come public, and I want to talk to him first and just see what he has to say. And he was like, I've never heard of your brand. I don't know anything about it, and I don't know what you're talking about, and I already made it. There's nothing I can do. And he was like super rude too. He's like, why are you even messaging me? He said, why are you even messaging me? Are you just trying to start drama?
Mm-hmm.
But if I was trying to start drama, I would have just tweeted and not messaged him. And then he goes like, well, we should resolve this in the DMs. And then he says, I asked what you wanted to do and you didn't respond, which is not true. I said...
I mean, he said he's going to sell them anyway. So what is there to do about it?
Well, but it's literally not true. He said, I'm going to talk to my design team and get back to you. And 3 days passed. And so I was like, well, there's just nothing's going to happen. And I have to protect our brand and your work because, again, he's going to sell 1 billion of these hoodies and he's just going to kill this style, which is our, frankly, bread and butter.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to kill the style, but it's fine. I think that it was fine to make it public just so people are aware, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
But again, you saw the 60 million people are like, they don't know. And I think it's a little, if it was just a little tiny bit different, I wouldn't have said a fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's identical, and that's the part that kills me, right? So anyway, also he goes, he also this is the part that I really want to share, but you won't let me. The thing is, he brought up the DM, so I feel like he's saying it's okay to share it.
He's not.
But he literally said after I confronted him, and I hadn't seen this colorway here, he says, oof, just to give you a heads up, it appears that this one has the exact same colors, and it looks like the design team totally ripped you off. He literally said that.
Hi, sisters.
And I said, wow, so it doesn't seem like a coincidence, does it? And he said, it's not. He says, it does not appear to be a coincidence. So he literally admit that they ripped us off in the DM.
It seems pretty clear that potentially he personally was not aware, although that is very questionable too. But let's say that it was not. Someone on his team was. But it doesn't matter. I mean, ultimately, it's his responsibility.
Yeah, that's the thing he keeps skirting around. Is like, oh, my designers did it. But, like, it's your company. And I totally believe that he wouldn't, by the way. When I first saw that, I figured, like, oh, there's no way he would knowingly just rip us off. It must have been someone in his team, and he wasn't aware. But now he's trying to say, like, I've never seen your brand. I don't know anything about Teddy Fresh. I never heard of Teddy Fresh. And then now a bunch of people are like, dude, your best friend is wearing Teddy Fresh. And
he also said to you, like, our audience is completely different, too, so I wouldn't even worry.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's actually not true.
Well, that was such a douchey comment. He goes, well, anyway.
I don't think he's aware of the size or audience of Teddy Fresh.
No,
and it's actually just not true. It's a lot on TikTok. And he is a lot on TikTok, so it is the same people.
It is. Well, yeah, and that whole premise is just so douchey and dismissive. He goes, well, anyway, even if I did rip you off, it's not even the same audience, so it won't matter. I was like, okay. I wish I could share this conversation with you guys.
Well, we just did.
Yeah, I guess. But people got to see to believe, man. The thing is, he was just super rude to me, and I was trying to be really polite, but I don't know. Yeah, and then the irony on top of it all, because James Charles acts like this whole thing is so crazy, but like this tweet from September 2019 really shows that he knows what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
There was another company that knocked off his color palette. And so he tweeted this, and he called them out on Instagram. He said, there are so many colors you can put into an eyeshadow palette. And I'm not claiming to own specific colors, but when you copy the exact shades and layout from my palette without even trying to hide it, clown emoji. I mean, he's describing exactly what happened.
Right.
So he should have some empathy for where we're coming from instead of being so flippant and dismissive. Because whether he knows it or not, he is that big company.
Right.
You know, he's going to sell like a bajillion of that shit.
We have people in the chat right now saying that they're fans of both H3 and James Charles, just for the record.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that are.
He has so many fans. I mean, his audience.
He's way bigger than us. Obviously, there's an overlap.
Right.
And it's the same age. Like, I mean, there's a range, obviously, but there's a lot of the same people.
This was it, by the way. And like, yeah, I see the comparison, but I would even go as far as to say that his hoodie is way more of a direct ripoff than this is. You know? And he had like this whole thing he wrote up, which I'm not going to read, but, you know. He talks about how it's his artistic integrity and he spent all this time on the colors and then they're just going to rip him off. And I'm like, dude, I just don't know why you don't have more empathy for us if you're willing to say all that stuff in your own defense. You know? And there's actually, let me go over to, have you guys heard of Ethan Klein H3 TikTok? He's kind of a huge up-and-comer 2020. Let me show you, because, just mute that. When you see it next to each other like this, you can really see, I mean, it looks like he's wearing my hoodie. And by the way, Theodore was so cute when I was filming this. And I didn't even know he was standing there looking at the camera. And then when I looked back at the video, he was with me, right? But I didn't know he was staring. And then when I looked back, it was so cute. And he was like, he saw himself in the TikTok, and then he smiled and looked away. He got all embarrassed. He's so fucking awesome. And so cute. Oh my God. He's the best ever. Ethan Klein.
Another thing is people are only focusing on the colors, but the placement, like I don't know any other hoodie that has that placement of the colors in that way.
It's identical. I mean, it's the same hoodie. That's the thing. Even if you use the same colors in a different placement, let's say that this sleeve was the body and this was the sleeve, I wouldn't have said anything.
It's just all the factors together. It's the fact that we are from the same environment. We do business in the same way. We're on the same platforms. That all is combined together to just feel very bad. That's all.
Right.
So that's that. And anyway, I think for the most part, anyone who isn't like a ride or die James Charles fan or Keemstar totally understands where we're coming from. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to seem like a petty, whiny bitch, but like, you know, it's exactly the same.
Despite what he said on the podcast a day afterwards, he decides to leak the DMs anyways. He captions it by saying, James basically admits his team ripped off us, but says it's fine because we don't have the same fan base or demographic. The DMs he shows starts off with James Charles saying, oof, looking closer at the screenshot you sent me, I will give you the heads up that one of the colorways we are doing is actually an exact copy of the purple, tan, pink, and teal hoodie you guys have. I designed the pastel one based on the Nike hoodie, but my design team pitched me a bunch of colorways. Once we decided on doing a color block collection, and I liked that one and said yes, once again not being familiar with your brand or hoodie. The units have been produced for a while now, so there's nothing I can do, but I'll definitely be speaking to them because although I didn't copy anything, they certainly may have, which is not okay. Ethan responds, not really a coincidence then, is it? James responds, but it appears as though it may not be. I'm speaking with the team now, so I'll keep you updated on what they say. Ethan responds, well, I'm not sure what to say. That hoodie is pretty much our hallmark as a brand, but now I'm learning more than one is knocked off, so I'm a little speechless, I guess. James responds, once again, the main hoodie in the collection isn't knocked off. It had a different source of inspiration, has a different color body and different color pocket, and logo is completely different. Placement, size, and color. You don't own color block either. The other colorway, which I did not personally select, but approved, however, is extremely similar, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of how the design team came up with. Regardless, we don't have the same fan base or demographic, so there's really no competition here. All I can tell you is that I've never shopped on your website before, so I did not copy your brand. After showing these DMs, Ethan continues tweeting on his timeline to address why he shared it. He says, why am I sharing this? 1. I think it's worth showing he admitted he ripped us off with all the people who've been denying it. 2. I have no desire to take legal action, so this is the closest I can get to some sense of justice before he sells a billion of these. 3. He has gone on a warpath when someone ripped his makeup. 4. All of our fans who will be wearing their color block will now be mistaken as James Charles fans. iDubbbz responds to Ethan by saying, why is no one talking about this upside down smiley face emoji times whatever amount? This is kind of an evil emoji. Everyone who has ever used this emoji is evil, I reckon. 666 kind of crap in my honest opinion. Ethan responds, thank you, iDubbbz. Comment Etiquette responds to Ethan by saying, hey Ethan, check out my new merch. Showing a picture of his merch with the logo scribbled off and saying Eric instead. My Rosie says, I didn't copy you. My merch ripped you off. With my consent. With me doing no research to where they got the idea. And didn't think twice about giving a shit to your merch. Good job, James. Pumpkin Zulu says, I honestly think this is drama that isn't suited to someone yours or Hila's age. Who the fuck cares? It's like y'all think these sorts of color block hoodies weren't all the rage in the 80s and 90s, laughing my ass off. Sue if you think it's legit, but is it really Twitter worthy? Cupquake says, so sorry this happened to you guys. There will always be someone who sees what you have built and want it for their own. Keep creating and being awesome. Laura Byron says, no fan of James, but his responses are more professional than yours, and you should be embarrassed by that honestly. And he makes it clear he was unfamiliar with your brand, so no, not admitting to ripping it off, only admitting its similarity. Smiley Melon says, God, you are even insufferable in private texts. He explained it, and said he's trying to figure out how this happened. He also said they already produced it, so why would he not sell them? Do you want him to have a complete loss? Would you pay for them to not sell them? T-Sesh responds to H3 by saying, you didn't invent color blocking. Oh my god, the attitude. He was so mad when Wet n Wild stole his colors and placement, but Ethan can't be mad when James does the same thing to him? David James Henry says, he's being extremely reasonable, apologetic even. This isn't a battle worth fighting. And sharing these DMs doesn't do any good for you or your line of clothing. Seriously, Ethan, drop the businessman hat, put on the human hat, but don't put on the N-word hat. BLM says, to everyone saying, color block existed before, needs to stop because James Charles acted like he invented makeup when he thought someone took his palette idea. Crimson responds to H3 by saying, damn, Ethan Klein needs to copyright all pastel colors, showing the other companies that are selling color block hoodies. Tasha says, I meant to rip off Nike, and coincidentally ripped off your design simultaneously. Hila Klein quote tweets Ethan and says, James Charles, I don't know anything about your brand. Also James Charles, I know enough about your brand to determine that my merch would not compete with Teddy Fresh. Ethan then responds, queen shit. Yet another day later, Ethan tweets out on the official Teddy Fresh account a picture of James's hoodie and says, big thank you to James Charles for wearing our color block hoodie. Just a Rick responds by saying, imagine creating a brand and building it from the ground up, and then having people complain you are starting drama when you try and defend your brand name. Michelle Makeup says, this is just plain childish and immature now. If anyone with a conscience realizes that. I now have no intention buying from a company like yours who thrives off drama, reaching and causing so much stir over something you clearly didn't invent. Jesse Scott says, dude, I like you guys, I really do, but this is a shit take. It really is. That would be like me saying I own the color red, and saying no one else can make shirts or any other article of clothing with that color at all, because that's what you were doing. Megan says, people keep missing the damn point. No one is saying Teddy Fresh invented color blocking. James is selling the exact same sweater with his own name on it. Big deal if his is more pastel. It's still the same colors in the same places. Oh, with an added pouch. What a change. So there's yet another sexting allegation against James Charles, but this time it's a lot more serious as we have a lot more compelling evidence in comparison to previous allegations. The allegation started picking up traction when Def Noodles tweeted out, James Charles accused of allegedly sending nudes images of himself to a 16-year-old boy. The boy also alleges James allegedly pressured him into sending nude images of himself as well. Now these allegations come from someone called Elijah, and he posted this video about the situation.
Okay, so trigger warning, I will be talking about grooming and James Charles, so if you get triggered by any of those, keep scrolling, but if not, watch this video, please. So last Wednesday on the 17th, James Charles snapped me on Snapchat. He added me back because I had snapped him a while ago, just like a fan to influencer conversation. I was excited because he's my biggest influencer-wise, and I've always looked up to him, so I was excited to get his message back. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna post proof of it right now. This is the notification that I got when he Snapchatted me first. And just for further proof, he deleted the chat. I don't know what he deleted, but that's me opening his Snapchat. I went into the bathroom, and I guess he saw the bathroom light, so he started making the conversation very sexual, and it made me really uncomfortable. And I'll post some of the stuff that he sent me now. You can't see it because it's blurry, because I took it on my iPad, because I didn't want him to see that I screenshotted it, but I'll post it right now. He proceeded to send me explicit pictures of his body. So after sending me that first picture of his body, explicitly, he sent me multiple after that, and I'll post them now. I was getting really uncomfortable, so I told him my age. I told him I'm 16. Meanwhile, he's 21. He's a grown man. And then he proceeds to say, oh, but I didn't get to see meaning my body. And after telling him, like, no, like, I'm not gonna send it to you, he kept on asking for pictures and videos of body hair and me flexing and stuff. He proceeded to ask to FaceTime me, which I then said no to, and then I asked why. And this is what he said. It's sad to say that I can't even look up my biggest influence the same again. I've heard multiple stories about him doing this to people, but you never believe it until it happens to you. So now I'm a big believer of what James Charles does to other people, and it sucks because he has so much going for him, and he does this to himself. All I ask from TikTok is to try to boost this video as much.
Isaiah follows up his video by saying, I'm trying to post proof, but it's saying my tweets aren't sending. Give me a couple minutes. For everyone who says it's from Google, I have me opening them in real time. I'm not lying. I had to screen record it from my notes because it wasn't sending on here. Here's me in real time opening a snap. Just watch you show off and look hot as fuck, ha ha ha. He then shows that proof. Naturally, after this comes out, people start reacting on Twitter. The first person of note to react to this was Ethan Klein, who said, Jesus Christ, James Charles is such a creep. He has done this so many times at this point. So can creators and celebrities stop sexually assaulting people? What the fuck is going on? It's every goddamn day some new horrific thing is uncovered. Nicholas Diorio reacts to Ethan Klein's hasty response by saying, pretty gung-ho right off the bat here, I'd say, as the story gets a bit more interesting. The Quartering responds to him by saying, I'm sure Ethan made sure to apply his journalistic integrity to retweeting those claims, and not just as a petty own to James Charles because he's still butthurt about merch, and totally not the most petty person on the planet. Nicholas continues to comment on this by tweeting out, for all we know, Ethan could be completely right. I just think being a bit careful with serious allegations is a better policy than going all in with no research. Surely he knows a bit about hands-on research because he grilled Keem on Tony. Bold move. Let's see if it pays off. Allegedly, Angelo comments on this whole situation by saying, we don't know yet if James Charles did or didn't do it. It is sus that stuff like this keeps happening, but he's innocent until proven guilty. Additionally, this will give bigots another reason to hate us. Lastly, I believe victims always will. That's my duty as an SA survivor. Ava says, this James Charles story needs to spread like wildfire. Just because big YouTubers aren't exposing him this time doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve any less exposure. His platform needs to be taken away for good. Cavos says, new James Charles accusations have surfaced alleging that he was grooming this person. Remember to wait for all the facts before jumping to conclusions. Dustin Daly says, I feel like I'm having to tweet about this weekly now because it's always something new. I'm not commenting on anything to do with James and the alleged things people are saying about him. I'm just sitting over here watching and wondering how. James Charles himself then makes a response to all of this. He says, there's a video going around about me on TikTok and Twitter of a guy calling me a groomer, and I want to address it right away. The accusation that I have groomed this person is completely false. Last week, I came across someone on my Instagram Explore page, saw he followed me, and added him on Snapchat. The next morning, I woke up to several snaps from this person being excited I added him back. saying he loved me, and also lewd photos of himself in the shower. I asked how old he was right away, and he told me that he was 18, so I started flirting back. In the excitement of meeting someone I thought could be potentially great, I didn't ask for a copy of his ID or passport. Now it's clear, based on the video he uploaded, he was taking pictures of me from another device, and had an ulterior motive from the beginning. Later in the day, he said a few things that made me question the validity of his original age answer, and when I asked him to confirm his age once again, he admitted he was 16. I told him I was really uncomfortable and apologized for flirting, but he insisted on continuing talking, saying it could be our little secret. He's a fan of mine and would never tell anyone. I told him I wasn't okay with this, he started getting upset, and at this point, I unfriended him. We haven't spoken since. I'm not victim blaming him or victimizing myself either, simply sharing what happened, and what happened was not okay. After false allegations like this in the past, I would never knowingly engage with anyone underage, and put my life on the line for a few Snapchats. Because of situations like this, instead of taking someone's word for it, I will now have to ask to see ID or passport of every guy I have a conversation with. Now this response came out pretty fast after the initial allegations. So fast in fact, that Ethan was still in the middle of doing his podcast when this response dropped, so he was able to react to it live. Here is what he said.
Last week I came across someone on my Insta Explore page, saw he followed me and added him on Snapchat. First of all, already you fucked up.
Do that.
You literally are doing this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm out. You can't do that. Disgusting.
Sister Snap.
Now it's clear based on the video he uploaded, he was taking photos of me with another device and had an ulterior motive. I'm sorry, you're the one that followed him, dipshit. So how are you going to accuse him of having an ulterior motive when you literally did the action of following him? Wow. What is he just sitting there waiting for James Charles to follow him randomly? Like, dude, you're a huge celebrity. There's a billion people out there. You just, yeah. Fuck this guy, dude. So right now he's admitting to exchanging nudes with a 16-year-old. Oops. Now, once again, it is not the 16-year-old.
Yes, he said flirting back. So.
No, he said lewds, sharing lewds, flirting back. The guy showed that he sent him those photos. So right away, he's admitting that he committed a crime. It is not that kid's responsibility for you to know his age. It's you. That's why you don't do these things. He's right here admitting to committing a crime. Right here. Committed a crime, exchanges photos with a 16-year-old. Done.
Thing is that these allegations already came about James. You would think he would learn a thing or two.
A bunch of times.
Yeah, a bunch of times.
Like, if this was the first time it happened to you, maybe I would understand, but this already happened.
After false allegations like this in the past, I would never knowingly engage with anyone underage. Knowingly? I mean, what the fuck, bro?
What do you mean knowingly?
What do you mean knowingly? What do you mean knowingly? That's not an excuse, bro.
He admitted he didn't ask for an ID or anything, so what do you mean knowingly?
Yeah. I would never knowingly engage. You know in the back of your mind, you're like, this guy might not. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. You're a piece of shit, bro. Stop giving this guy a pass. Fuck you. Fuck you.
So now you learned that?
I have to respond to this tweet.
Not now.
It's going to be really quick.
No, it's not.
The tweet Ethan made says, admitting to committing a crime exchanging nudes with a 16-year-old. Stop giving a pass to this predator! Now let's see what else he had to say on his podcast.
Bro, what is with the amount of people doing this? Like, bro, this is happening so much. Yo, even if you don't care about respecting other people and doing the right thing, at least have enough in, like, preserving your own reputation and career, not to be so fucking reckless and dumb. Like, even if you are, let's say, an uncaring person, you should still know how dangerous this is for you.
You're already in such a lucky position. You have all these followers. Like, the least you can do is start being more responsible.
Just go meet someone on Tinder. Why do you have to, or go out to a club? Why do you have to meet people, like, on Snap? Why do you have to meet people on Instagram DMs? That's just not...
creeping on their social media profile, going out of your way to add them because you know that they're a fan of you.
They follow you, and
then
the whole
exchanging
thing.
nudes with them. What are you doing? Just don't do that.
And I love how he goes...
Charles, he's like...
I love how he goes, oh, he had ulterior motives. You followed him!
If anything, James had.
You
made contact, dude.
I can't, bro. I cannot do it.
It reminds me of the Sin Jared shit, where it's like,
oh yeah,
you know, it's not my responsibility, even though I created the scenario for this to happen.
Sin Jared. Honestly, Pyro did the same shit. He says he ended up well, actually, it wasn't as bad because he wasn't exchanging nudes, but he was flirting with a 16-year-old that he thought was older. But in Pyro's defense, there was no photos shared or anything, so it's not as bad. It was just like text, role-playing, flirting stuff. But it's your responsibility to fucking know you're not talking to a child, which is the reason you shouldn't be doing this. Let me see the comments. Are people supporting him or being like,
shitty.
Go off, James. Nobody should make up lies like this.
What's the lie?
The made up part.
Oh, here's another one.
Which
Y'all
part
trying to
is the
cancel
lie?
everyone nowadays. I don't get why you think it's a good use of your time. Stop trying to cancel people. Okay, well, your idol is literally a predator. Like, he's done this like 5 times this month.
The fact that he is even saying himself, he saw this guy is following him, then he went after him to follow him.
End of
It's like,
story.
okay, you are abusing your fans.
Predator, bro. James is a predator. I actually think so. Oh, maybe I can't say predator.
That is so true.
Maybe like a tiger. God, this episode's so fucked. I just wanted to make an episode that wouldn't go yellow. Now here we are fucking again. James Charles had to go and be a predator. Couldn't he just take the week off from being a predator? James Charles is a predator. Quote me on that. Here's a good one. Thank you for addressing the situation. I knew they were a clout chaser from the beginning. 500 likes.
That is what they always say about any victim that comes forward.
Meanwhile, these are the same woke people, right? The same woke people that go, don't blame the victim.
Alright, so let's continue where Ethan left off and read some more direct replies to James Charles's response. Gab says, notice that gaslit sentence at the end? Because of this situation, I now have to ask every guy I talk to for his passport or ID, like it's our fault, lol. Kindle says, James, he has a TikTok account posted to his Instagram highlights, and it clearly says he's 16. She then shows that Instagram highlight from 11 weeks ago, and it does indeed say that he's 16. Rencor1 responds to James by saying, James gets accused on some BS every day, dog. What the fuck? Brianna Nask says, people have no idea of things that we deal with just because of being a public person, an LGBT person on the spotlight. You are not alone, and thanks for talking about this in such an honest way. I truly believe that is the best way to talk about how evil people can be. Ramon says, you should stop flirting period with anyone on any social media platform, especially with you being high profile as is. I wouldn't trust anyone, especially in this day and age of catfishing. I figured you would have learned by now. I'm not attacking you. Mistakes happen. Jeremy Leb 91 responds by saying, so he's just supposed to stay single forever? To which Angel responds, what? So he's supposed to just flirt with every man he sees? Like, no. You just start with a normal conversation and go off from there. Malik responds to James by saying, the fact that you have to ask for identification nowadays because people can't be truthful is the real problem. Stay safe, my dude. Clivy says, I don't understand why people keep doing this to you. Literally, what the fuck? Emma responds, clout. They see someone famous they can exploit and take advantage. They have a chance to do so, and take it. D'Amelio Stan says, the way James even has to explain himself. People today will do anything to get people cancelled. It gives the attention. Honestly, this is disgusting that people do these kinds of things just for clout. Adam responds, James has posted 0 evidence. To which AJ responds, the kid posted 0 evidence either. Maddie on Mars says, I'm sorry this is going on. It's disgusting that a fan of you would lie about his age and put everything you've worked so hard for in jeopardy. Before anyone comes at me, we don't know what's real and what's fake. James wouldn't do anything or say anything to anyone who is underage. Being in the spotlight at his age has to be so fucking hard. That fan clearly had bad intentions from the beginning. Paige Christie responds to James by saying, at some point you have to take the responsibility as the adult. I Shall Love 22 responds, he did, but this boy lied. This always happens to him. Yeah, tried to cancel him because you hate James Charles. Paige responds, the boy is a child. End of story. Paige then makes a tweet of her own that says, why do this when Grindr literally exists? Kavos comments on the whole situation by saying, James Charles denies the grooming allegations, says that this person lied about being 18 when he was really 16, and initiated the conversation with lewd pictures. People really don't know what the word grooming means, lol. Boogie2988 says, Here's what I don't get. Why do this at all? Why even use Snapchat? Why match with people on Insta instead of dating sites? Why even risk your vast empire on something like this? It's fishy for sure. Be better. Like, I don't know if these things about James are true or not. I genuinely hope not. But boy, it doesn't bode well when he keeps dating people that even could possibly be mistaken for underage or close to it. Aiden tweets out, I hate to sound like an SJW, but people keep falsely accusing James Charles of being a predator, and it's a common homophobic tactic to equate gays to pedos. Part of me wonders, if these are false allegations, are they routed in homophobia? I've lost male friends as someone who is not straight, because they thought I was into them. Taddy portrayed James as some gay sex fiend, who would go hit on any guy. A lot of people think that gay men are just into all dudes. It's a pretty bad stereotype. Mudahar says, James Charles is a dipshit for sexting fans. Dude should know how risky this stuff is, especially with really young fans. No real excuses. Omni says, James Charles done goofed. Blair White says, James Charles is the creepy guy in his 20s who hung around and sexted your teenage friend group, but you didn't realize it because you were a kid. X8 says, apparently James is a predator even though, from his alibi, he only wanted someone of age and believed them to be of age. How can someone who, most likely will have physical evidence of, ask someone their age, and only engage after knowing, still be accused of pedophilia? Santa Claus comments on all of this by saying, personally, I think this Isaiah guy is lying. For what reason would James risk everything he has to flirt with a 16-year-old boy? It just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. Whether you like or hate James, there's something fishy going on here. James Charles is a huge celebrity who's rich, and could quite literally get with any man who isn't straight. He wouldn't risk it all for some kid. Admittedly, my logic was a little flawed on the why would he risk it all, but still, something's fishy here. Don't be a sheep, and wait for full context until you find out who the actual monster is. This isn't the first time you people have done this to James. Nicholas Diorio comments on all of this by saying, people over the age of 19 who actively use Snapchat frequently are sus. If you are an influencer, delete it, lol. James Charles' statement echoes what I've been saying. It's extremely sus that this kid has loads of evidence of him opening James' Snap, and nothing showing James being told he's 16 like the kid claimed. More evidence could appear, but this lines up with what I was leaning. Am I crazy to say if he was cognizant to record the evidence? Why not record all of it, lol? Also, grooming is used once again improperly, and this leans super heavily into power dynamic territory to a degree that felt forced. That last part could just be how people on TikTok talk. Separating this from the allegation, Ethan is on stream claiming that even if this was true, James is a predator for vetting the kid's age and being lied to, implying James is telling the truth. He made tweets claiming James is a repeated offender and something about sexual assault. My point is, regardless of the actual situation, at the end of the day, this is not only uncharitable, but pretty damaging. At best, Ethan is slandering someone as usual. At worst, he just Tony'd James on stream and refused to back down. Isaiah himself responds directly to James by saying, James, we both know I blocked you. You never asked for my age. After I told you I was 16, you proceeded to ask me for nudes, and said it didn't matter. You called me hot, and said, I wish the timelines could speed up so you can be 18. He never shows proof of this, but he does show proof that he blocked James Charles on Snapchat. He then tweets out, for those who don't believe the age thing, this was me messaging my BSF, who I told at the time about it. He was asking for me to send him pictures of my body right after me telling him I'm 16. Hope this clears things up. He then shares this Twitter video.
So one of my Snapchat videos want to send. But basically what I said like an hour ago was that I get what you're saying. It makes sense. I'm not going to make any big steps yet. I'm just going to kind of wait it out to see what goes on from here. Even though he already did it. If he asks for something again, then that's when I'll consider it. But if not, then... But he still did it. Like, that's the only problem. I don't know. We just have to talk about it more.
Isaiah continues by saying, if you were going to text someone, make sure you know their age. He added me on Insta. My Insta has my TikTok, which shows my age, James Charles. He then shows a screenshot of his TikTok saying 16. He also adds that that was from 11 weeks ago and he hasn't changed it since. Keemstar tweets about the situation by saying, James Charles is now admitted to sexting 2 minors. 14-year-old in July of 2020, 16-year-old just today. In both cases, James said they lied about their age. It does not matter they lied. It's still a alleged crime, both times. According to state laws, James should get arrested. Glink responds, wow, I'm so shocked, outraged, appalled. How could this happen? No. Keemstar then makes this Twitter video captioned, update James Charles.
Okay, I just triple checked, got off the phone with my attorney just to make sure I'm putting out the right messaging. Yeah, according to state laws, it's a crime. But also, according to federal law, federal law, the entire United States, if an adult sends nude pictures of themselves to a minor, even if that minor is lying about their age, it's a crime. It's a federal fucking crime. All right? So, I put out a statement saying, well, it doesn't matter. And a lot of people got upset, but they lied. It doesn't fucking matter. I say it doesn't matter because it doesn't fucking matter. A crime, allegedly, was still committed. It's a federal fucking crime. Don't be sending nude pictures to anybody online. And if you're James Charles, you're an idiot because you got fucking busted for this a year ago. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, James. You're just a fucking idiot.
Keem continues tweeting about the situation when he says, 5 different Twitter users so far that I know of, including the 16-year-old that made the video exposing James Charles, have had the video flagged down by Twitter. Some are locked out of their accounts for 12 hours. To be safe, I deleted my vid and reached out to Twitter for help. He then tweets out, James Charles rant.
I'm furious about this situation with James Charles. I'm fucking done with it, right? Fucking 3 times a year, we're reporting a story that somebody on TikTok is exposing James Charles for private messages, right? Oh, he was sending sexual stuff to me, and even though I told him I was straight, and he kept pursuing me. And then, James Charles will put out a defense, well, he was queer-baiting me, he lied, he said that he was, bi-curious or whatever. This has happened so many fucking times, I don't even remember how many times it fucking happened. The point is how does James keep getting caught up? We always come to the conclusion that James Charles is the victim, and these other people are just out for clout and attention. Okay. But now we got 2 situations, and regardless if they lied about their age or not, James Charles most likely committed a fucking crime. You can't send naked pictures to yourself, to a minor. Even if that kid lied about his age, still a fucking crime. The law doesn't fucking care. And now this has happened twice. In less than a year, both of this has happened. Let me ask yourself a question. We're always coming to the conclusion, poor James is the victim. But there are other influencers out there, like, let's say Corpse Husband, who have so many underage girl fans that if he were to message them and be like, hey, what's up? How old are you? Of course those girls would lie. So Corpse still continue to talk to him. We know that to be true, that the kids lie so they can talk to their fucking hero. But we're not running stories on Corpse Husband. Corpse Husband isn't getting caught. Corpse Husband isn't getting exposed because he's not fucking doing that. But you know who keeps putting themselves in this situation? James Charles. After almost getting it canceled, after this story's being huge and everyone covering it, and all the drama channels covering it, he still gets by the skin of his fucking teeth and continues the fucking behavior. All right? I don't think James is a victim anymore. It doesn't matter that kids want clout, that kids lie. He's acting fucking stupid. He's acting reckless. He's messaging fans for hookups, and he's getting caught up for himself.
Keemstar then tweets out, I'm sick, I'm grumpy, and I'm not taking your fake bullshit anymore!
Quite honestly, I'm a little sick, so I'm a little grumpy, more grumpy than normal. And I'm so sick of these fake ass fucking people on Twitter. It doesn't matter what Twitter video I make, what point I make, whatever I say. These people constantly reply to my tweets saying, this is the one time I'll agree with Keemstar. I can't believe I'm retweeting Keemstar and agreeing with him. Can you guys please just come to the conclusion that I'm always right? No, let me show you. All right. Look at these quote retweets. The only time I'll believe this asshole. All right. Okay. Look at this one. I never ever agree with Keem. Oh, well, James is a pedo. Keem is always, okay, John F. Kennedy, you're a cool one at least. You get it. All right. But look at this. I never thought I'd see the day where I'm agreeing with Keemstar. I can't stand Keemstar, but he's negative 0% correct. What? She meant to say 100%, I'm pretty sure. Damn it, I'm forced to agree with Keem on something. You guys are all fucking fake. You know what's fucked up when I agree with Keemstar? No, I'm always right. I'm fucking always right. Wake the fuck up. I understand you're trying to play this thing where you know, you think everybody hates me, so you're trying to message to your fans like, well, this one time King's right, I gotta say, like, you're trying to play it safe or whatever. But I'm here to say that you're all just fake, dumb pieces of shit looking for approval of your fucking followers because I'm a controversial figure, and that's the only reason why you're doing well, this is the one time I may agree with him. Fuck every single one of you. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I'm always fucking right? And I don't give a fuck about what anyone says, right? You care. You sit there and care, and you're worried about what your friends will think about you if you agree with me. Go fuck off, you fake pieces of shit.
Cavo says, this James Charles situation is a shit show. John Swan says, nothing in this James Charles situation seems to add up. After what has been alleged in the past, there is no way James would flirt with someone who he knew was underage. The guy he was flirting with looks like went into this with ulterior motives. He had been screen recording and archiving things for a while. It seems like a malicious attempt to try and bait James for some clout, and it clearly worked. I don't know, man. I could be wrong, but nothing adds up here, lol. Trisha Paytas tweets out, why are these new allegations against James Charles a surprise? He's been saying his best friend is a 16-year-old girl for the last year, since she was 15. James is a 21-year-old man, not even an adult teenager. Shaking my head. He's a groomer. That's a straight up fact. James Charles and CIA get away with grooming under the guise of being a mentor. That's disgusting. It's how a lot of these child sexual assault cases go unnoticed. I hate it so much. She then tweets out a picture of James Charles' response and comments on it by saying, dude, what? James Charles just admitted to sexting with a minor. Do not victim shame, period. But victim shaming a child is disgusting! Do not put blame on someone else for your grooming/predatory ways. This is James Charles. It is now a fact he sexted with minors. His best friend is 16-year-old Charlie D'Amelio. This is repeated predatory behavior on underage boys. He is sick in the head. It's a disease. He needs help. People fuck up once and learn. Predators need intervention. Anyone defending James Charles right now is probably underdeveloped mentally as well. Very young. Know that this is not appropriate. It is not okay. Grown adults have no business flirting with you. Children see this as cool because they idolize. There are long-term damaging consequences. So James Charles is trending on Twitter again, as serious allegations have came out against James Charles from the 15-year-old TikTok user Jake Cherry, who also happens to be 6'9". That is just insane to me. But regardless, he posted a now deleted TikTok exposing James Charles. It's basically a rapid fire of screenshot evidence with copyrighted music in the background. So instead of showing you a 10-second TikTok of rapid fire information, I'm just gonna pause at every relevant moment and read it out. It starts out with him saying, I miss you, James. And then it shows a Snapchat message of James Charles in bed saying, aw, good night, cutie. Here's another one where he says, that would be so cute. On the 29th of November in 2020, James wishes Jake a happy 15th birthday, and then in December he says, what the fuck is your problem? Posting screenshots of my snaps to you on your private story? I strongly recommend that you keep my name out of your mouth, or we're going to have a major problem. I'd love to remind you that you were the one that called me cute, and said you were bisexual and into me. He responds, hold up. James responds, get a life and respect people's privacy. He responds, we already talked about this. James responds, that's a complete lie, you idiot. You were backpedaling because you got caught. Jake responds, no bad intentions whatsoever. James responds, don't ever speak about me again. I added you and minded my own business until you called me cute and started flirting with me saying you were bi. People who can't respect privacy are the lowest of the low. Jake responds, I completely understand that. To which James responds, you clearly do not understand. Jake responds, I never intended anything bad by posting that, and if anyone says you did do something wrong, I can assure you that you did not. James responds, I know I didn't. You did by violating my privacy. Get your fucking friend in line before I do. Lying about your age to bait someone is against the law, by the way. Jake responds, I didn't delete anything. And which messages? James responds, the messages of you admitting you lied about your age. I saved them, and they're gone. Jake responds, I don't know, but I can promise you I didn't delete anything, lol. And then the TikTok ends with him showing proof that this is from James Charles' Snapchat account. About 14 hours after the initial allegations came out, Jake updated us that he had to delete the video by saying, parents made me take it down because they apparently got contacted by the police. Everything in the video is 100% real. Now let's take a look at how Twitter reacted to this. This first started to surface on Twitter when Def Noodles tweeted out the TikTok with the caption, who could have seen that coming? James Charles exposed for allegedly messaging 15-year-old. When James Charles notices that the boy shared one of their messages on his story, James snaps accusing the boy of lying about his age, then blocks him. Boy alleges he never lied about his age. Ethan Klein Klein quote tweets him and says, James Charles caught with yet another 15-year-old boy. I swear to God, y'all, this is getting fucking ridiculous. Call out anyone that associates with this man. I am losing my mind. James Charles is a predator. Just trying to get his name trending, y'all. Let's go! Trisha quote tweets Ethan Klein and says, the fact that this is happening again and again, and again, like fresh, new, now. This man is a current dangerous threat. James Charles is a straight up pedophile. That's not slander, but a fact. Repeated behavior still fucking happening. What the fuck? The way James talked to him after too, threatening him, being aggressive, putting blame on a 15-year-old child for their interaction. Disgusting. I'll say without a shadow of a doubt, James Charles is the only creator that deserves to be banned and stripped from all social platforms. He's abusing it by sexting with minors! Repeated behavior happening as recent as a few days ago. This is an actual predator / pedophile. James Charles deserves prison. I really hope one of these parents press charges. It's so nauseating. I'm physically nauseous. And he's so cocky about getting away with it all. Keemstar tweets out, if you prey on your underage fans, you are a predator. Since a few people in this community had a hard time calling James Charles a predator, thought I would spell it out for you. He then makes a Twitter video titled, James Charles Rant.
Listen, I'm going to say a lot of stuff here that I've already said, but you need to hear it again. And I want retweets and I want likes, and not because I want fucking clout, it's because I want something fucking done. If famous person like James Charles hits up fanboy, underage kid and gives them attention and is interested in them sexually, kid is going to lie about their age. Of course they're going to lie about their age, all right? So regardless if all these kids are lying about their age or if James actually knows the age, all right, it doesn't matter. When you have the power dynamic, which a lot of people have a problem with, I get it, but it's true. When you have a power dynamic of a fucking super famous person, showing interest to a fan, the fan is going to lie and do whatever they can to keep that conversation going with their hero, all right? This is fucking grooming, all right? Can we please just call it what it fucking is? In this new case, James is saying to the 15-year-old, happy birthday. On his TikTok, he's got TikTok saying he's 15 years old. Enough is enough. How many times does this need to happen? Okay? We all need to be on the same page here, all right? We don't like cancel culture. We think cancel culture is ridiculous. However, when it's a situation where kids are in danger of being groomed and being taken advantage of like this, that's when cancel culture is good. Someone needs to be canceled and pushed out because they're a danger to the fucking kids. I don't care if every kid lied to James Charles. I don't care. James Charles is the adult. The kid is a kid, all right? James Charles has the responsibility to know these people's ages. And in all these cases, with a simple check, us online that have nothing to do with the situation, we can find the ages of the people. It's publicly, it's out there. But James can't? No excuses. He's done. Get him out, get him out, get him out. He's done. Make the fucker trend. Make him trend, get him out. Get him out!
Keemstar then continues tweeting about the situation. He says, just did a speedrun on how fast I could find James Charles' new victim's real age. Took me 2 seconds and 31 milliseconds. But James can't find the real age of the kids he's texting? James Charles. He lied about his age, said he was 18. You know who tried to expose James Charles but nobody listened because they wrote it off like he was trying to take out his competition? Jeffree Star. Ready to Glare tweets out, interesting that neither James Charles or those around him are addressing anything. Real fast when it comes to dropping people for much less, but actual serious accusations involving minors? Silence. Kate Tenbarge tweets out, the alleged James Charles interactions with minors show a pattern of James Charles getting aggressive plus claiming that the minor lied about their age once screenshots leak. It's an increasingly worrisome use of his power dynamic. He shouldn't be privately messaging young fans at all. Blake says, grooming. James Charles has been caught sending inappropriate messages to yet another minor. Please call him out. It's not just a coincidence at this point. This is the 6th time. Whatever excuse he has this time isn't enough. He shouldn't be taking advantage of his fans. Chris Kelman says, ugh, my dog needs a haircut. Could use some good recommendations, since Google is of no help. Showing that he typed in best groomers in Los Angeles, and the result was James Charles. Pepe says, James Charles. He said he was 18, the child in question, showing a fetus. Nicholas Diorio says, I still feel like showing restraint and playing the long game with the James Charles story is going to pay off. It might be profitable to exaggerate everything current, however, the content lottery of this turning back around is enough for me to continue screenshotting reactionaries. At worst, it turns out James is just as bad as people say, and at best, every journalist / massive drama YouTuber looks like an idiot for calling him a predator targeting children. Either way, it doesn't affect my life. Not enough info to make an appropriate judgment call. I don't know what the new James Charles situation is supposed to tell us that others haven't. I see loads of people saying, another one? He needs to be held accountable. Laughing my fucking ass off. We were done letting him get away with it after the third one. How surprised can I be that James wasn't careful with who he was talking to in December? When this isn't even the most recent case he supposedly got catfished, is it? Lol. To say someone is preying on children requires intent, which we still don't have concise evidence of. Can someone please compile everything with screenshots into a document so normal adults can comprehend what James has been accused of? I'm not doing TikToks, lol. My initial look at the situation is that James wished him a happy birthday on November 29th, 2020, and the kid put James in his story in December. We don't have a date on the snaps the kid posted. If they were pre-November 29th, this means nothing. If it's post, that looks like something. Xander Hall responds to Nicholas Diorio's previous tweet by saying, just wait for the Boblax video like I do. Nicholas replies, we are actually in the Boblax video right now. Kat tweets out, isn't James Charles generous? When kids in high school don't have the money to fly out to LA to date him, he offers to pay for their flight.
Talk to guys that live in different states and stuff, and I'm like, hey, like, why don't you come visit? And like, well, I can't afford a plane ticket. Yep. And it's like, okay, well, I can. So like, get on the plane. And like, well, I just don't really feel comfortable with that. But like, I love you and I really want to be together. And I'm like, well, we can't be together because you can't afford a plane ticket. You're probably still in either high school or college, like a senior in high school or in college.
Right.
So like, either you accept the flight and realize that like, this is what I'm bringing to the relationship so we can spend time together if you actually care about me.
Yep.
Or we literally never meet because you can't afford it.
That's right.
Dustin Daly reacts to the clip by saying, holy fuck, he tripped up. Nick Schneider responds to it by saying, yikes. T-Spill responds with eye emojis, and then makes a tweet of her own that says, the thing I don't understand about the James Charles situation is how a 21-year-old finds that attractive? That boy looks like he's about to go off and start his first day of high school, at best to me. Forrest tweets out, James Charles. They lied to me about their age, the minor in question. Kavos tweets out, James Charles is long overdue a visit. Horny police. David says, just thought I would share these tweets from yesterday on James Charles. They made me roll over laughing. He then shows James Charles responding to Lil Nas saying, love you, Nas. To which Dak responds, I think he's too old for your liking. Cherry Lips tweets out, James Charles is trending, so it can only be for one reason. Atop says, James Charles texting his 40th minor of the year. Lala says, I'm confused on why James Charles have a platform when he has been accused on various occasions on preying on underage straight boys. Yet y'all still have not crucified him in the same way y'all would do if he had been a black influencer. Queen Fantasia says, maybe if James Charles didn't go for boys who literally look prepubescent, then he wouldn't get into so much bother, silly sister. Here for the Tea says, James Charles is in a position of power, and he should not be using his fan base as a personal dating pool. In fact, he shouldn't be messaging them at all, because he obviously has trouble keeping his dick in his pants. To influencers who support James, is there something we don't know here? Am I missing something? Why are y'all so damn quiet? Remember, these are the instances that have been made public. Imagine how many have gone unreported. I don't think people understand. Why is James Charles even adding a 15-year-old to Snapchat? It took me 2 seconds to find multiple TikToks and Reels where his age is indicated. Another day, another apology video for sexual misconduct. This time it's coming from James Charles. And very similar to the David Dobrik apology, a lot of people actually liked this on YouTube. But on Twitter, people had the exact opposite reaction. Keemstar tweeted out, fuck James Charles. All my friends hate James Charles. James Charles, I do not forgive you. He then makes a Twitter video titled, I'm sorry.
First of all, guys, can I apologize for the spam tweeting? Like, this is probably like my 17th tweet of the day, just today, and I've been spam tweeting for the last 48 hours. But there's just so much going on, and I got so much to say, and just, okay. So, first of all, James Charles uploaded an apology video. It's dog shit. This is, what's the point of an apology video? This is unforgivable shit. You're sitting there sexting minors. Like, it's not like a thing that we can be like, oh, he said sorry, I forgive him. No. And, in it, he only mentioned 2 of the victims. There's like fucking 8 now. he says to everyone that he's taking full accountability. Oh yeah? Then why are certain words blocked in his comment section? Why is he blocking people on Twitter? Why did he block comments on TikTok? There's no accountability if he's blocking all the criticism. That's not accountability. What are you saying? What are you fucking saying? All right. I put out a poll. Go to the Drumler YouTube channel. Go to the community section. There's a poll if you forgive James Charles. If you don't. Right now, it looks like 90% of you do not forgive James Charles. I will not be forgiving James Charles. Look, if what James Charles did is basically the same thing that many other creators have done, and their careers are done and over with, right? And they got caught doing this once or twice, right? James Charles has got caught doing this a lot, all right? I don't know if 8 is the correct number right now, but yesterday I think we were at 6, and they just keep coming out. Like every day people are reaching out to us like, James, message me on Snap. Another thing that I think is very important that people need to understand is if anybody sues James Charles, Snapchat would have to get those records. They're not deleted and gone. Like, you can still get the proof against James Charles if you feel you have none in a lawsuit or criminal.
Keemstar continues tweeting about the situation when he says, "Keep in mind, James Charles is 100% censoring comments. If he wasn't, the top comment would be pedo or predator. This is the internet. We know better." Do you think there is some type of manipulation of the like and dislikes on the James Charles apology? I'm in absolute disbelief that I'm looking at reality, showing that after the video gained 1.7 million views, it has 151k likes and only 13k dislikes. Ethan Klein tweets out, "James Charles just uploaded a video on April Fool's called Holding Myself Accountable. I haven't watched it yet, but I just want to point that out. Okay, bye." James Charles claims he's desperate as an excuse for sexting with minors. I think the truth is more insidious, and something he could never admit publicly, that he likes young boys. At this point, the police needs to be involved, and there isn't much more to say about it. Earrings interpreted, lock him up, throw away the key. Does Chipotle know they are sponsoring a known sexual predator? Showing a picture of James Charles and his Chipotle sponsor. He continues by saying, "Yes, to answer your question, I am trying to cancel James Charles. He, of all people, is completely deserving of it after admitting to exchanging nudes with a 16-year-old. This is a pattern of behavior that should land him in prison, not collaborating with Chipotle." Def Noodles also comments on the Chipotle sponsorship when he tweets out, "Totally unexpected! Chipotle out here sponsoring people who allegedly committed sex crimes. Like it comes with free guacamole." Trisha Paytas quote tweets him and says, "Chipotle is trash." Keemstar then responds directly to Ethan Klein, calling out James Charles on his Chipotle sponsorship by saying, "I agree James Charles should be cancelled! But how is Ethan Klein going after anyone's sponsors? H3H3 did blackface with racist intent. He said N-word and F-word. He pushed a black man to almost suicide. He used an autistic man for clout and ghosted him, and much more." He then makes a Twitter video titled, "Do not let H3H3 destroy our industry."
We are not going to have an industry left anymore if we keep going after people's sponsors. You know, I called H3H3 out because he's going after James Charles sponsors. Now, let me be clear as day. James Charles should be canceled, all right? But you shouldn't be going after his sponsors. And the reason why you shouldn't go after his sponsors is because that reflects on the entire industry. That makes sponsors not want to work with any YouTuber because we're so goddamn problematic. And I say we're so goddamn problematic because everybody has done stuff to be canceled for, especially H3H3. Myself, literally everyone, okay? Even when YouTubers don't do something wrong, like the whole thing with Ninja not wanting to play with female gamers, right? You know, people blew that up and made it a big thing. You know, imagine if they went after his sponsors and he lost sponsors with that. That is the future. If you continue to support this type of behavior, nobody will have sponsors. Companies will not work with individual YouTube creators, and they'll just work with big industries like, you know, like CNN or the talk shows. They'll work with the corporations, and they won't work with individual creators and streamers. Stop going after the sponsors. I swear to God, if you agree with this whole thing of going after YouTubers sponsors, I swear to God, like you could be on the other end. Every single person, you the viewer, have done or said something in your past that you could be canceled for. If somebody put a magnifying glass on it, that you might not be hired from a job, or you might not get into a college because you said a certain thing. Like, everybody everybody could be affected by this. Stop going after the sponsors. Stop supporting creators that do it. And when creators attack other YouTubers' sponsors, call them out. Don't let this shit slide, or we will all live in a world that nobody wants to live in. Stop it. It's going to kill the entire industry.
Trisha Paytas tweets out, just a reminder, you ask for inappropriate pictures from minors. You face 10 years plus in prison. It's disgusting. People don't get away with this forever. It doesn't go away because you apologized, and you're back doing TikTok collabs. She then shows Austin Jones, which for those of you who don't know, he is someone who sexually interacted with minors and got 10 years in prison. Trisha also says, who does an apology video for being a pedophile? Like, maybe just get off social media, period. You can't even trust yourself. Trisha then elaborates on her opinion in 2 TikTok videos. Here is what she says.
I saw James's video. It's the same thing he said after the Tati video, that he was going to do better and not be the P word. It's extremely upsetting, and it's disheartening that all his young fans are like still buying into this with the thumbs up ratio. Just keep in mind, if someone is liking tweets trying to like take down like the victims, like a week ago, they didn't change in a week. Like, he keeps saying, I'm going to show you. It's like, but you were still trying to defend yourself by discrediting minors. Like these are children, and he kept blaming them. And it sounds good. The fluff piece is good, and obviously people are buying it because the thumbs up. But like, he said all this before. You don't just change in a week. Like, it's good he's acknowledging it and apologizing yet again, but we've seen this before. This is like Groundhog's Day. And this is about James, so it'll probably get taken down. I don't know. I'm just going to remind people real quick of Austin Jones. If you don't know who Austin Jones is, look him up. Look him. He literally got sentenced to prison for something very, very similar. Soliciting pics from minors is a really, really serious crime. And if the minors don't press charges, or their parents don't because of whatever reason, then like nothing happens. And it's sad because this is a repeated pattern from James. This isn't like an isolated incident. Like, for real, I really hope he's sincere and like is going to change. Like, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom and get a wake-up call. So like, for everyone's benefit and for other people's benefit, I really hope he is genuine in like changing his behaviors. But like, when you can get away with it, they tend to keep doing that. It'll be quiet and cool for a while, but again, repeated behavior. It's really scary and it's really sad. It doesn't make me happy talking about it. It actually makes me physically like ill and sick. And
Boogie2988 reacts to all of this by saying, straight up fuck James Charles and his I won't do this again. You've done it enough times to be in jail, my dude. Damage is already done. It's not enough to stop doing it. You need to spend a lifetime trying to make up for it. I am a complete idiot, and in my life I have never been so desperate, as James put it, that I would have done almost anything for companionship. At no point did it cross my mind to talk to kids about my genitals. Ghosty responds to Boogie by saying, Boogie, honest question. What do you think should happen to James? Do you think he should be suspended from YouTube and his socials, or criminally charged, or what? Don't really know what could actually happen, just want to know your thoughts. Boogie responds, if I had my option, James would choose to dedicate his life, fans, and profound wealth to helping the victims of predators and sexual trafficking. Mudahar tweets out, James Charles is an incredibly irresponsible creator, using his platform and consistently involving himself with minors. Tons of legal cock out there, and yet this man-child keeps fucking up. Shit's inexcusable. Omni says, James Charles' apology video was pretty good in my opinion. Optimus says, the worst part about the James Charles apology video is that fucking haircut. What the fuck was his barber doing? Bro got the 3-fade hover 2 ISO top scissor cut. What the fuck? Young Crip says, every woman tomorrow after they shared a fake pregnancy test on their Facebook page on April Fool's Day. Holding myself accountable. L says, James Charles, I'm desperate. Me too, James, but I make up fantasies in my head instead. Nuck says, James Charles really nailed that Jazuke cosplay in his new apology video. Sarah says, if Shane Dawson made that same apology as James Charles, you guys would demolish him. Keep that same energy! We shouldn't even have to remind you! Cat 10 Barge says, James Charles took a familiar, cough never doing this again, cough, approach to his alleged interactions with minors, implying that he has receipts about them lying about their ages, but that he won't show them. Sam tweets out, James Charles blatantly lied in his new Holding Myself Accountable video. Yikes.
Not even starting, it's really looking, period. Like, I'm actively searching for younger people to be in a relationship with, and I just want to say firsthand that that is absolutely not the case. My hope has always been to be in a relationship with somebody around my age or older that I can relate to and that can make me laugh. And unfortunately, I've not been able to find that person. I'm not physically attracted to older guys, which sucks. Like, I would date like the absolute youngest, like 18, 19, that looks a little bit old.
There was another clip.
Spencer tweets out, hell yeah, James Charles ASMR, showing a video titled Grooming You ASMR. Megan says, I'm really bothered by this James Charles shit, as are many. Why are there 99k likes on the video? Why are we accepting this? He's admitted to illegal things. Am I crazy? He does not deserve to keep profiting off social media and risk harming other minors. Prezzo says, James Charles' hair look like Goku sit on it, fly around. Twizfist tweets out, James Charles takes full accountability.
Hello everyone, it's Apology James Charles here today, which means I'm going to be speaking at 10 decibels lower than my usual volume. Well, gosh dang it, you've caught me again, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. There are no excuses for what I have done. I'm going to be taking full accountability today, but in saying that, those kids did message me first, they did lie about their age, and they did appear on my TikTok For You page, so who is really to blame here? Now, the reason I have been caught in 4K inappropriately messaging so many young fans is due to the fact that I am desperate. That is right, James Charles is the real victim here of a broken, lonely heart. James Charles just wants to be loved, so many sisters, but not a single mister. So I'd really appreciate if you could send me all your thoughts and prayers and Snapchat friend codes. No one knows the struggle of being immensely rich and famous, adored by millions, and trying to get a date. It's been so hard for me that I've had to use TikTok as my grinder. I have since learned, however, that an app with a user base of mainly underage children is not a dating app. Now, I know I've said this many times before, but this time I promise I'm not going to do it again. Sorry for committing a criminal offense. James did an oopsie. Let's move on. That's all I have to say about that. I hope to never disappoint you again, but hey, can't make any promises. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Probably on Snapchat, boys.
Balls says, James Charles for the millionth time, holding myself accountable. Millie says, oh my god, James Charles' new A Day in My Life video, showing a video titled A Day in Jail. The girl says, James Charles made another apology video? I know his scriptwriter is tired. Microwave tweets out, James Charles went from hey sisters to hey little boys real fast. Mel's tweets out, not James Charles' apology video doubling as a confession. Jack says, I really hope James Charles is just one big April Fool's joke. Aries says, how come James Charles doesn't realize that you can't just apologize for crimes? Maddie says, I'm not watching this. When are you all gonna realize that James Charles should get off social media and rot in a prison cell? Basic Bitch says, a summary of James Charles' video, reacting to me lying. Diesel Patches tweets out, you all laughed at me, showing a video he posted a year ago titled, James Charles touched my doodle. Josh says, why is James Charles on my trending page twice, showing that James Charles and Jimmy Savile are both trending. Def Noodles tweets out, single people be like, I'm desperate for love, going to go look for someone my own age. James Weinstein Charles, I'm desperate for love, going to sext a bunch of children to fill the gaping void in my soul. Judge, James Weinstein Charles, you are accused of incitement of minors and soliciting sexual images from them. What is your defense? James Weinstein Charles, I was desperate, Your Honor. Judge, Austin Jones, sexts minors, 10 years in prison. James Charles, sexts minors, is desperate. Can you imagine holding yourself accountable for committing a crime and not going to jail after confessing to it twice? I'm alone here in the studio. Fill in the blank. The perm. And then Def Noodles makes one final tweet that says, this new James Charles video is my favorite he's ever made, showing a picture of eggs in his hair and a video titled, I raised a flock of seagulls. So as many of you guys know, over the past couple months, James Charles has been accused of very serious stuff. And because of that, a lot of YouTubers have been calling for sponsors to drop James Charles, in particular Morphe. So after a couple weeks of people continuously asking them, Morphe came out with a statement on the situation. They tweeted out, "In light of the recent allegations against James Charles, Morphe and James have agreed to end our business relationship and wind down sales of the Morphe x James Charles product offering. It is and always has been Morphe's goal to create a positive, safe, and empowering space where all beauty lovers can freely share their artistry and passion for cosmetics. And Morphe is committed to furthering that goal." Amray responds to Morphe by saying, "Honestly, it's really encouraging to see him have to face some sort of serious repercussions after getting away with everything for so long. Thank you, Morphe. Now could you cut off Nikita Blackfish too?" Sproutchin says, "Wind down is an interesting choice of words. For slowly ending a business relationship with someone who admitted to sending naked pictures to minors during Sexual Assault Prevention Month." Kyla says, "Caught on, haven't you? Took long enough." Mike Nactor responds to Morphe by saying, "Thank you for maintaining the standard you set. Although, I could have done without hearing about how James has also agreed to parting ways. I have no interest in what an established child predator has agreed to." Andy E.G. responds to him by saying, "I fixed it for them," showing a parody of the Morphe statement that says, "In light of the recent admitted crimes of James Charles, Morphe and James have agreed to end our business relationship, but still sell the remaining stock for profit of the Morphe x James Charles product offering. It is and has always been Morphe's goal to hope it would go away, where all beauty lovers can freely share their artistry and passion for cosmetics, and Morphe is pissed off you wouldn't shut up about it." Kylie Beauty responds to Morphe by saying, "So y'all are going to wait 3 weeks and announce this at 9 PM EST on a Friday night, where nobody will see? Ah yes, makes sense. Morphe is still trash, and the only reason they dropped him was because more victims came out after his video. If it hadn't gone worse, they wouldn't do. Poo." Boo responds to Morphe by saying, "Morphe and James have agreed. Didn't know that a child predator was able to agree to end their business relationship." Yes, Chachin responds, "Probably because of a contract." To which M. Romero replies, "Yes, but they had a contract with Jeffree, Shane, and Laura Lee, and yet they dropped them within a week of their scandal. Not weeks." 1975 Jins responds to Morphe by saying, "Hi Morphe, they aren't allegations if he admitted to doing them." Rainy Day responds, "Legally, I think they are allegations until he is committed of the crime." Sean Vari responds, "He confessed." Pushing the idea that they are just allegations is completely disrespectful to the victims, and quite frankly to anyone who has experienced trauma. Please side with the victims. Chris Killman's quote tweets Morphe and says, "Good, you remove YouTube and Susan Wojcicki." James Charles then decides to address his breakup with Morphe when he tweets out, "Accountability is something I have spoken about a number of times in the past. In my most recent video, I spoke about and took accountability for my part in conversations I had with a few individuals who told me they were over the age of 18. As I said in that video, I can't show change overnight, but will over time. Since posting that video, many other people have come forward with a series of misleading stories and false allegations, which have been reported on by many people, creators, and news outlets. My legal team has begun taking action against those that have spread misinformation and or created completely fake stories, as this has gone too far. These stories have caused many of my long-term partners to receive considerable negative feedback, one of them being Morphe. I've loved every moment working together and am beyond grateful for what we've created together. That being said, I reached out to them and we mutually agreed to wind down on our James Charles x Morphe collaboration, which is my only project with them. I am continuing to take time away to learn, grow, and listen, and look forward to coming back one day in the future as a better version of myself. James." As for the misinformation being spread against James Charles, there's just been too many fake stories for me to explain in this one video, so if you want to learn about them after watching this video, I recommend checking out a video titled, "This Video Will Make You Hate Deaf Noodles," him being one of the major culprits of this spread of misinformation. Everything's explained in that video, plus more, so if you want to check it out, I will leave the link in the description below. But moving on, a lot of people responded to James Charles, one of those people being Onision, who said, "James, you got caught trying to hit up people who were not legal. Taking accountability doesn't involve making excuses and blaming people who are still not able to legally consent." Nit responds to James by saying, "Y'all are so annoying on social media. Leave James alone. You don't need to ruin people's livelihood just for your 10 minutes of fame." Tia responds, "You're sick for defending a predator, and anyone else who defends him is sick. This isn't the first time he's been caught being involved with minors. There's no excuse for his behavior. It's disgusting." G responds to James by saying, "This tweet itself shows that there has been no growth. While I do believe there are false allegations, we do know there are ones James admitted himself are true. I truly hope Morphe is discontinuing their work with James not because of false allegations, but because of the true ones. Abe responds, all this. He is quick to point out supposed false allegations, while staying completely silent on the ones with merit. Quick to point fingers and specifics on what makes him look better, but doesn't touch on or get into any specifics of accountability on his wrongdoings. Christian responds with a picture of James holding up a sign saying, "Unleash your inner lawsuit." Midab responds to James by saying, "People keep saying, how is it James' fault? James is a 21-year-old adult. He is the mature one in these situations. Plus, why is he only talking to boys that look borderline 18, borderline 14? Like he is incapable of talking to actual adults whose age he wouldn't have to question?" The Blazed Goddess replies, "He is 21, so he's supposed to automatically be attracted to older looking men because he's a legal adult? I get he did something wrong, but they also did something wrong by lying about their age to begin with. That's how all of it even started." Truth Sleuth says, "Is it me, or does anyone find it suspicious that Morphe and James Charles only posted their statements on Twitter, which is both of their smallest platforms, instead of their bigger/biggest ones? I smell insincerity." Lily Marston responds to James by saying, "While it sucks that people make things up, quick lesson in accountability, James. It doesn't quite work to try and blame the negative feedback on just the false allegations, when you literally already admitted to the very crimes they accuse you of. Frequency didn't lose your brand deal. The illegal behavior that you admitted to partaking in on multiple occasions did." Chris Kilman's response to James by saying, "These stories have caused many of my long-term partners to receive considerable negative feedback. Stop talking about accountability when you still fail to realize it wasn't some stories being possibly fake, but instead your actions that caused the negative feedback." Laughing my fucking ass off. The fuck? Parker May responds to James by saying, "James Charles sexted multiple children, some of which he admits to. Now he puts out a public statement saying that his lawyers are going after victims who he claims have spread misinformation. This is blatant fear-mongering to make his victims afraid to share their stories." Luke responds to James by saying, "Let's make one thing clear. If James Charles wasn't a rich celebrity, he would have been jailed already." Larna Lynn Pro responds to James by saying, "The problem is, James, you are a fucking brand. The last place you should have ever looked for love is social media. And what makes it worse is you should know how to look for these boys' ages, because the internet is your living." Augie RC responds to James by saying, "Grease them cheeks, Def Noodles." Nicholas Diorio comments on all of this by saying, "I'm glad James came to a mutual agreement with his sponsor so he could make that passive-aggressive tweet and shove it up the T community's ass. The James Charles situation is actually fascinating. As I continue to play the long game, I can't help but notice we are nearly 2 months in, and not a single one of these kids have showed substantial proof James knew their age. I'm seeing a lot of, some of the kids could have been like contacting the police and don't want to tweet their evidence. No shit, my dude, lol. There could be 999,999 other accusers who only contacted the police. That's why it's called the long game." Tommy C comments on all of this in a Twitter video titled, "A comment on James Charles lawsuit threats."
I do want to get these comments out based on the potential lawsuits of James Charles. And there's a lot of talk I've seen, I made a joke about it myself, about potential defamation lawsuits towards one Def Noodles and Ethan Klein. At least initially, I don't believe you're going to see them getting sued. I don't. I think what's more than likely is the so-called victims that jumped on, that they can prove fabricated the story. One individual who recently admitted fabricating the story, they're the ones that are going to be in the hot seat, at very least at first. So don't get all jumpy and don't get mad at me when you hear this information. More than likely, Ethan Klein and Def Noodles will not be the target of lawsuits in the future. And I'm seeing a lot of stuff saying it's a guarantee or no. It's a possibility. Now, let's say I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because I like to see it hurt a little. I got more bad news for you. The bar to defame or slander a public figure, and both of them are, nice big blue check marks, that could be used in court to identify them as a public figure, is very high. Doesn't mean they can't sue them. It doesn't mean they can't win, but it's very, very high, and they have to show material damage, from what I understand. So James Charles is going to have to prove that Ethan Klein and Def Noodles' words led directly to financial loss, things like sponsorship, even sub loss and potential revenue. If his revenue's up and his sub loss is there, it probably won't. It probably won't work. But that's also why I believe that the initial lawsuits, if James is telling the truth and not blowing smoke, will not be against Ethan Klein and Def Noodles. If they are, even worse, James will probably lose. But it'll sting a little because they're going to have to go to court. Court costs money. Unless, of course, it's an anti-slap.
Speaking of Ethan Klein, he also responds to James Charles by simply saying jail, and then follows it up by saying, last I counted there were 17 total accusations, 10 of which are minors. 2 James have confessed to. Tell me which ones are lying, James Charles. Am Ray responds to H3 by saying, it's so pathetic how he tries to paint this all as some boys who told me they were over 18. Like, no, James. This is all about you sending explicit messages to kids without doing the bare minimum to confirm they are of age. Kat responds to H3 by saying, listening and learning while my legal team takes action against you. Kat Tenbarge tweets out, of course Morphe and James Charles wait to release paragraphs of statements until 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Grace Panita responds, accountability is something, it sure is. Nick Schneider tweets out, I'd like to remind James Charles it's not the fake stories that got you where you are currently. It's the real stories, including the ones you admitted to on video. Your statement was nothing more than an attempt at painting yourself once again as the victim. The Sorikal says, so James' apology included intimidation, no accountability, and crying about his collaborations being in jeopardy. James is not hurting for money at all, and it tells you exactly what kind of person he is by his language and his apology. This motherfucker feels inconvenienced. T-Spill says, is James saying fake stories have made Morphe step down from working with him, and not the very real story he admitted to on camera? The statement was clearly written with anger. James speaks as if he's scolding his audience for speaking up about this. Centering his statement around the few fake stories was calculated so it seems like he's the victim for being dropped. So this drama stems from a 7-minute Twitter video made by James Charles.
Hello everybody, James here. I hope you guys are all having a beautiful day, afternoon, night, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing well as well. I really miss you guys. Don't worry, this is not my return to social media. But unfortunately, I am logging in today because I feel as though I am being cornered and have to make yet another public statement. I know people are sick of these. I don't blame you. I'm not even going to bother writing out like a whole notes app thing today. I'm just going to hit record and start talking to you guys one-on-one because there's a lot that I want to talk about, and hopefully whoever wants to listen can just listen. As you guys know, for the past couple of weeks, I have obviously been offline. I've been taking time away to learn, to reflect, to talk to professionals, and most importantly, to try to help better the situation that happened recently in any way that I possibly can. I've been quiet online, but things behind the scenes have not been so quiet. There's a lot going on, and I currently feel as though the situation that I was in is being taken advantage of, and I feel as though I'm being blackmailed, which is why I wanted to film this video today. For those who are not aware, for the last 2 years now, I've been dealing with an ongoing lawsuit from one of my previous employees. This is something that I have never spoken about, I've never mentioned, because I wanted to keep it private out of respect for her, and the fact that it's literally an ongoing litigation, but she's now speaking about it, which is just perfect time considering everything else that's going on. Basically, when I was 18, I moved to LA. I was living in my downtown apartment, as you guys know, and my YouTube channel was just starting to take off. I was filming and editing 3 videos a week by myself for my channel, and I really just wanted help, so I hired an editor. This person worked for me and then was later promoted to my producer, which means she was no longer editing, she was helping me film videos and was like my right-hand person for a salary of $72,000 a year. She only worked for me for about 6 months and then was let go, and now I am being sued. The suit is all online. You can read through it if you really want to, but it basically alleges that she was wrongfully terminated, overworked, and underpaid, all of which are untrue. I have a very, very small team. I've always had a small team. There are not many ex-employees because most of my team members have been with me for a really long time now. My team is like family to me. I love them all so much. You guys know a lot of them from being in the background of my YouTube videos, and I stand behind the fact that they are very, very well taken care of. The fact that this is like even attempting to become a narrative makes me feel like sick to my stomach because it is wildly, wildly untrue, and I am so grateful for the people around me. The case also kind of makes it seem like she's just trying to get back like the wages that she feels like she should have been paid for her work, which I wish were the truth because in reality, this suit is actually for hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you're not familiar with cases like this, they're unfortunately pretty common in like the entertainment industry, but they usually don't actually make it to court, which may sound weird, but it's for 2 different reasons. The first one being they are ridiculously long. This was filed 2 years ago. People are only finding out about it like now, but we are not even close to getting an actual court date yet. So it is a long, long process and quite a headache. Because it's so long, reason number 2 is it gets really, really expensive really fast for the defendant, which in this case is myself. So most of the time the defendant will settle, which basically means paying an amount of money to the person making the suit to just drop it and move on. And I'm not going to act like this was not an option for me. Settling is oftentimes
good option, a smarter option, because it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's a lot less of a headache. She is suing me. She has sued other YouTubers in the past. She was bragging on Twitter about how she just settled another case recently, so this is clearly a thing. But settling is no longer an option that's on the table, and I'm going to tell you why. This past week, I was reached out to for comment about a news article that is coming soon, and I learned that she is talking to the press about this lawsuit and what it was like to work for me as an employee. However, she's adding a ton of absolutely ridiculous, absurd, untrue, defamatory, just the craziest claims you could ever imagine. And in my opinion, it's an attempt to pressure me into making a much, much higher settlement offer. Once again, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. These claims range everything from I was so lazy, she had to force me to get out of my bed and brush my teeth, and without her, I would have never made a single video or a single dollar. But also things much more serious and disgusting, such as that I used to say the N-word around her all the time. This is just perfect, convenient timing as well, considering this past weekend, my old Twitter account, which I have not accessed since 2016, and only has one tweet, I guess was hacked last year, and the hacker publicly tweeted somebody the N-word, and people actually thought that it was me. The worst part about all of this, though, is that if I were, in some universe, to make this ungodly amount of settlement money, if I was to pay it, I'm sure a lot of you are smart enough to take a guess as to what would happen to these claims. They would be retracted and they would magically go away. I can believe this. I shouldn't say that. I just don't want to believe this. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words. This is just disgusting. I know that my lawyer has been like a topic of conversation, a meme, a part of my internet persona for a while now, and I get it. But contrary to popular belief, I have never, ever paid anybody to speak or to not speak about me, and this will not be the first time that I do it. It just won't. And unfortunately, at this point, my only option is to pursue this to the fullest extent of the law and hope that one day, whenever it does get to a courtroom in the future, justice will be served. The problem, though, and why I'm making this video today, is because until that happens one day, we're dealing with the court of public opinion, which is a very, very different situation. And it's a court that is not on my side right now, which is just frustrating because, like I mentioned earlier, I feel as though this is all just to pressure me. There has been 2 years of timed opportunity to speak about any of this stuff. But now it's happening, and now we're going to the press, and now we're doing this back and forth. It feels so wrong to me. I wanted to make this video today to give anybody who may care and any of my followers some sort of background, some sort of explanation, some sort of insight into what's actually happening behind the scenes, because it's crazy. And I don't want this article to come out and just blindside people, because it is going to come out. And when it does, I know that it's going to be bad. And I totally understand that people are going to think whatever they want to, regardless of what I say, regardless of what receipts, screenshots, legal documents that I pull, and that's okay. That's, everyone has a right to their opinion. I just want to give some sort of explanation so you guys know, and hopefully you're able to see this and what's happening here for what it really is. I am sorry to my followers. I'm sorry that you're going to have to see this. I'm sorry that you've had to see everything that's happening over the past couple of weeks, because it is so frustrating and it's so embarrassing. But there's not much that I can do, and there's not much that I'm able to say about this either. All I can hope and pray is that one day justice is served and you guys are able to see me for who I really am and this situation for what it really is. That's all that I can hope. But until then, I guess I just have to wait patiently and just, come back when time is right. And I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but if you made it all the way through, thank you for watching. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I love you and I hope you're having a good day. Bye.
MMA checks response to James Charles by saying, even though James had made mistakes, and I would still feel bad for him throughout what's actually happening behind the scenes and the cameras to really know James' stress, but also the real and true scandal as well. M responds, it's not mistakes if it's a pattern of behavior. Amanda responds to James by saying, I'm so sorry, Charles. I just can't even imagine what you must be feeling. My love is out to you, and I know in the end, justice will be served. Veronica says, I'm not a fan, but I actually believe him on this. Some people get ahead in life by being leeches. Enzo says, stinking up my timeline, please go back into that cave you crawled from. Divine says, people fail to realize that bullying him not going to make it better. Y'all force people to almost killing themselves acting like this. But the sad thing is y'all could care less, and that's fucked up. If you don't like him, don't support him, and don't follow him. Stop paying attention to someone you don't even like. Everything he does, y'all make yours mad by paying attention. I don't even know what's so hard about minding your own business. MacBeans Gaming says, everyone's saying I feel bad for him. Suddenly forget he's a pedo who's committed literal crimes. The girl probably chose now to talk about it because James Charles stans would have annihilated her back then for making such accusation. Angela Garcia responds to James by saying, keep your head up. We are meant to go through things to grow, to learn, and make you the person you will soon be. Keep your head up, sister. I will always be behind you. Everyone makes mistakes, and it's normal. So just keep smiling, keep doing what you love. Stay safe. Amanda responds, he groomed underage boys, knowing that they were underage. He deserves everything that's coming to him. Elvis Trends responds to James by saying, I'm literally crying. I feel the pain you are going through. It pains me so much. LYK, how people be acting mean to you because my intuition tells me you were just vibing with them. But like, they took it wrongly in their perspective. I'm just out of words. John R. Makeup says, I won't defend him, but if he wasn't to speak out about these things, y'all would start World War III over it and attack him. And when he does speak about it, the response is, I'm not listening to this, or, okay, I don't care. Make it make sense. Lacey says, you guys ask for him to apologize or explain about so many things. Then when he does, y'all say, nah, 7 minutes too long. Give him a chance. Stressed Crackhead says, everyone in the comments gotta realize this isn't the first time someone has lied about their age to an influencer to get what they want. Keemstar comments on all of this by saying, James Charles is getting cancelled for paying his employees $72K a year? I pay mine $12K and give them $5K in fines for not addressing me as Keemstar Master of the Universe. Ethan Klein quote tweets James Charles and says, wow, that's so crazy, man. Imagine if she accused you of sexting minors. Petty Page says, oh shit. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for you. James Charles comes out with a 7-minute video trying to get ahead of a news article. Me, yeah, I don't fist bump with predators. Rant! I'm sorry, James Charles, but so what you're being rinsed of money? So what you are being blackmailed and manipulated? So what this girl is attacking you at your most vulnerable? It's about time someone makes you feel as helpless as you made others. For far too long, you have used your influence to manipulate people, and then gaslit them publicly because you knew your audience would attack. And now I'm supposed to feel sorry for you? It ain't fun now that the rabbit has the gun, huh? Dustin Daly says, okay, I'll give it to James on this one. If he did this off the cuff like it seems to be, he really made some points. Kevin James Bennett says, James Charles slithered back into social media to send his fans to attack a person who dared hold him legally accountable. James, we have no sympathy for an admitted sexual predator who used his wealth and influence to avoid arrest. Hashtag sashay away. Chris Kelman says, imagine making a 7.5-minute video to make people feel bad for you when you didn't even seem this bothered with the fact that you sexted multiple minors and have barely spoken up about actual issues. Whew, not me. And the French says, how come this pedo gets 7 minutes 25 seconds, but we only get 2 minutes 20 seconds? What the fuck? Here they are referring to the 2 minute and 20 second limit that regular users have on Twitter videos. I believe that limit is extended to 10 minutes if you are verified on Twitter, which is why James could post the 7-minute video. MNN says, no one cares, F@G. Taylor Lorenz says, putting out a video to get ahead of a story almost always backfires because you only end up generating hype for the story. Cat Tenbarge responds to James by saying, absolutely not. Story coming soon. I literally cannot believe this. Okay, well yeah, you paid your creative director $72K after a raise. We'll start there, since you're the one putting it out, more soon. Blackmail is a criminal allegation, and a really crazy and stupid one to make. We're reporting everything out. Story will be coming soon, and soon it did come. As the next day, Cat Tenbarge ended up posting the article James was talking about. She shared it on Twitter and said, James's former creative director is suing him for a slew of allegations, including disability discrimination after she says she got a concussion and dozens of hours of what she says is unpaid overtime. Kelly Rockleen also described to me in detail what she says it was like to work for James in 2018, from picking up his dirty laundry to being called a bitch. He also texted her, Kelly, I might need your help shaving my butt before Coachella. She then shows an excerpt from the article. It starts out with a quote from Kelly that says, imagine having to go over and essentially pick James up out of bed, tell him to brush his teeth, tell him, okay, what do you want to eat? Okay, someone is coming to do your laundry. Okay, I'm going to get your laundry, I guess. Okay, time to start filming. You don't want to film? Well, we both know you have to. So please, let's think about it. She also said Charles walked around the house naked in front of her, called Rockleen names like bitch, and once texted her, Kelly, I might need your help shaving my butt in preparation for a revealing Coachella outfit. Rockleen said the conduct made her extremely uncomfortable. After Kelly worked for James for 6 months back in 2018, she said says he gifted her a Louis Vuitton necklace that he and all his closest friends have. A week later, Kelly said she passed out and her head hit a tile floor. Her lawsuit details what she says is medical discrimination. In a video yesterday, James said Kelly waited 2 years to talk about this. Her attorney said it took so long because James' legal team attempted to compel arbitration and appealed the court's decision after they failed to pay fees in time. She then shows another excerpt from the article. It says, initially, rather than settle, Charles's legal team moved to uphold the arbitration clause in Rockland's employment contract. According to court documents reviewed by Insider, arbitration is a private dispute resolution process outside of the judicial system, in which a third-party arbitration firm, in this case paid for by Sister LLC, receives evidence, hears arguments, and makes a decision. However, the arbitration clause in Rockland's contract is now void, thanks to a California law that went into effect January 1st, 2020. Charles's attorneys failed to pay legal fees required for the commencement of the arbitration within 30 days of the due date because of a communication error between Charles's firm and the private arbitration firm. As a result, Rockland moved into litigation, which was granted. Charles's attorneys have appealed the decision and are waiting on a response from the court. Kat continues to tweet about this when she says, in the same video, James addressed the claims I sent him ahead of publication, including that he uses the N-word privately. Two people, Kelly and an old friend of James, told me that James used the slur with a hard R in front of them. James also said he's being blackmailed, which Kelly and her lawyer denied. Rather, her lawyer said James's team offered a settlement, but the offer to, as he put it, buy her silence, fell apart after James' video. She then later updates her thread by saying, most recent update from James's manager. James made a responsible settlement offer for an employment lawsuit. She countered with an outrageous amount of money to settle, and to retract her public statements. James wasn't willing to pay her off, and a response to that from Kelly's attorney. The offer made was to silence Kelly, and to have her retract the story, and it is in no way reasonable considering all the damages that she is entitled to under the law. It's a Gundam reacts to all of this by saying, she had to feed him, clean for him, and force him to record a video other people would have set up, lit, and edited for him, but the ass shaving broke her. Dustin Daly says, say no more. Shaving James's ass should not be part of her job description. Repzilla says, James Charles has his employees shave his butt. Connor responds to Repzilla by saying, I'm sorry, but just believing everything this person says at face value is ridiculous. The person making these claims is incredibly malicious and is in an active lawsuit with James. I'm not buying any of this at all. They also had 2 years to say anything, but conveniently now they do. Repzilla responds, can we talk about the ass shaving? To which Matt Pitt responds, it's a living, especially for $72K a year. Potassium Hoarder responds, shit, it's more than I make now. And I bust my fucking ass. I'd not only shave his ass for $72K, but I'd do other things too. Ooh. The person who's filing the lawsuit against James, Kelly Rockland, responds to all of this by saying, so many people sending me death threats, asking me to kill myself, and making fun of my appearance. It's almost like someone incited this violent mob of stans on me in a desperate move to vilify me and remove any of the blame from themselves. As if struggling with anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia wasn't enough already. Regardless of what side you're on, for who you think is right or wrong in this, please just leave Kelly alone. Let the statements she makes in her lawsuit that is shared to the public speak for themselves, and don't resort to personal attacks or any unnecessary insults. It really doesn't help anything at the end of the day, and just makes things worse. But that's about it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on, as I will be updating this story as more information comes out. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.